Welcome to our weekly Q&A show where we answer submitted questions live on YouTube on Tuesdays at 2 p.m.
Aaron made it with the sunglasses.
Whoa, you okay, buddy?
Wow.
Yeah, my eyes are dilated. I can't see anything. You guys are just
Wow.
blurs on the screen.
Oh
So,
my God.
yeah, it's an interesting day we got going on here. So,
I
okay?
did not expect to see you here.
yeah, I just rolled in and everything's worked out well. Zach, you know, the little lead you gave me beforehand made me really want to show up for the show today. You made it sound like it was going to be a fantastic show. The hardest part, I'll say, of getting here on time was just navigating, trying to click through stuff on the computer screen without being able to see what it is. You're kind of guessing, you know. And then it wasn't working right in terms of getting into at the end. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, why it's not working. Come on.
Okay. Did you look straight into the sun today? What happened?
No. I had my eyes dilated, for an eye exam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you're lucky enough to have great eyes like you do, Zach, you don't have to worry about this stuff. But some of us, we have to get our eyes
dilated last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get faint when they do that to me. Like I've gone into guys like, actually, we can't do it to you. And nobody cares. Let's move on. I feel like I'm just talking to you guys sometimes. I forget we're doing a live YouTube show. So everybody, welcome to the show. If you have questions, this is a Q&A show. This show is going to be like 2/3 Q&A and 1/3 Friday show because we have a lot of cool stuff to cover. If you have questions, go to whitewaterguidebook.com and submit them there. If you send them via email or Facebook or any other way, they may not be seen ever. Sometimes those get lost in the void. So please, if you go to whitewaterguidebook.com and go to the Gear Garage tab, that's how we see things and catalog them for the show. Gentlemen, is this education? I know Friday is entertainment. Are we doing education today?
We're just answering questions. With opinions.
Okay. You guys ready to go?
Ready to go.
All right. Here's the first one. I want to pick your brain about something. A raft outfitter that my friend manages recently retired at around 100 of their commercial PFDs. Are you aware of any creative ways to upcycle the old ones so they're not headed straight for a landfill? Who's Aaron? You got an answer here?
Well, I'm going to say I'm curious how old they are because I feel, and it depends on the outfitter that's upselling, who's getting rid of them. If Zach's getting rid of them, they're so gnarly. And I'm joking, but like certain outfitters get rid of their life jackets where they still got a little bit of life left, and some go past their end of their life. And if they have a little bit of life left, I think it works well. Is that like if for private boaters, I think they work great because you're doing like a trip a season or two, and you want some extra life vest to take your friends
boat
rafting.
swap.
Yeah, boat swap, like things like that. I think that's a great place for them. I'm sure NRS is not happy to hear people getting used life jackets instead of buying new ones, but seems like I think that's a great option for them because like private boaters put so much less wear and tear on their gear in general than commercial companies do, and so you could probably get 10 years out of those things, taking them a couple of times, especially if you get the better ones that are left out of their, picking over their stuff. What do you guys think?
I think there's probably a difference between their aesthetic life and their safety life. And you're going to maybe capitalize on the last 4 years of its viability. After 6 years of abuse, it might still be a decent life jacket. I think a boat swap is a place to try and move them. There's also, I know in Groveland, the local campground had, just a rack of free life jackets at a lake. And we donated some to them, but to get rid of 100 of them would be a challenge. It's frustrating. We've got a lot that we haven't sent to the landfill yet, just because they're sitting in a bus rather than the landfill.
We do the same thing. We have a bunch of them in a bus, just in case. We have friends that always want to borrow, like, hey, we need 20 PFDs for a day trip that got really big. So those are our loaners to other companies. I've always thought it'd be nice if like there's some of us, if brand new ones, use them until they're like a bit faded. And I try to give them to a day trip company who can still get a lot of life out of them. Or even like a lake somewhere where they don't even need them that much. But they do have more life after we retire them. And I feel like it'd be nice to keep them passing down to places that can handle them as they're not needed. I don't think anybody's making purses out of them. if that's what the question is.
I'll say the other use I've seen too is I know certain people have done this where they've taken a life jacket and they've opened up the bottom of it, and then they've taken and added an extra piece of flotation in there to give their life jacket more flotation. Not that that's recommended, but I know
wouldn't.
people who've done that with it. Yeah,
That's
actually
bad
worked out
advice.
really well. What?
That's bad advice. I don't think we should be in any
I'm
way
not saying
changing.
it's a good idea.
PFD.
I'm just saying I know someone did that. I'm not
Got it.
recommending this.
Okay. Hey guys, let me tell you about something. Don't do it though, but I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna give you some advice, but don't do it.
No, this is the fun. This is for fun. I mean, this is not educational, and we're just talking about things we've seen people do.
Got it.
I think it's worth a conversation about it. Like, curious yourself, because if you think about it, they're undoing the seam on the bottom. This was seamstress who did it, and then they re-sewed the bottom seam so it looked exactly the same. The life jacket material is not going to like pull out the bottom; it pushes up, so you're really worried about the top seams anyways. So I don't know. Is it that dangerous?
I just don't think we know what flotation does. Like when you add flotation, like when they test PFDs, they do a certain action. If you start adding flotation places, subtracting, you don't know, it could put you face down. So I'd be really careful of any adjustments to PFDs.
That's a good point. That's a good point about the face down.
Or something unintended, some unintended consequence.
I agree. And I think if you were to maybe think about downgrading the difficulty of the river, it would feel better to me. Like if I was in Sacramento, if I was on the South Fork of the American and I had 100 commercial life jackets, it still has some use left in them, but maybe we're looking a little bit worn out, faded. Lower Sacramento, one of those raft rental companies.
Yep.
They'd probably love to have 100 extra ones for a busy day.
I'm going to say this. So those faded ones, though, I have seen where those faded ones tear real easily, and then the material just kind of, the flotation just comes out of them. You guys have seen that before. Those guys who had the cool old vest, that used to be really cool, I feel like, in the 90s, to have the really faded vest. You know?
Yeah, still, I think some people still think it's cool.
But when the fabric starts to get old and looks worn, I worry about the tearing of the fabric. That's why I like the flotation in a different vest almost better, because I think it's like if the material looks like it's in good shape.
Yeah, we like the BLM or the Grand Canyon. If you modified your PFD, they're not going to take it for sure. They
wouldn't be able to tell in this one the way
they wouldn't tell. But yeah, I think I'd be afraid to modify PFDs. But if you sent a raft rental company like 100, they would be able to use 70 of them. And then the 70 would turn into 50 really fast. They would just, make sure that as soon as flotation comes out, then done, they would just
they're going to throw them away.
But they'd make purses out of them.
Yeah, but the problem is when the flotation comes out, when you need the flotation.
That would be a problem. That's why they can't.
That's why I'm saying bad idea. Like I've seen that. The people in the middle of swim and the flotation's coming out. Those old ones, the extra sports that would go over your shoulders, those pieces of flotation seem to really like to float up and out.
Aaron, it's not 1997 anymore. Nobody's wearing those. I know what you're talking about.
One, though. I'm sure you do. For a course together, Zach, that we're doing.
Yeah,
I can bring it up.
Is the flotation coming out?
What?
Is the flotation coming out?
No. It's in good shape. Okay. It's the Cordura one, so it lasts longer, and I didn't ever use it that much.
All right, let's move on. We have lots of questions, lots to get to. What's the ideal number of rafts in a group? Asking for a friend.
1/3 as many as the number of people in the group.
Ooh, interesting. So if there's 30 people,
10 rafts? So you're saying 10
I like
rafts?
3 people per boat. I think 3 people is a good number. Unless you're taking paddle boats. I mean, I was thinking oar boats on that one.
You're looking at this question way different than I am, Steve. I think.
No, I know. I'm answering it indirectly. Now we're going to say, what's the ideal number of people in a group? I think that's a more interesting question. And then we'll use that to segue into the number of rafts for that number of people. So we're going to do a 6-day Middle Fork of the Salmon trip. 3 of us are co-leaders.
Perfect.
How many people do we want in our group?
3.
3. 2. Sorry, Aaron. Zach and I talked before the show. But we appreciate you including us on your trip. No, more than 3. In I would go with 15 to 18 as my ideal group size.
In how many boats?
Well, let's do this one first.
Okay.
How many people do you want in your group, Zach?
In my boat?
In your group,
Oh,
total trip, private trip. How many were on your Grand Canyon trip?
16. That was a good size.
That was a good
16
size?
Yeah.
Aaron? 3 still? Sticking with 3?
Aaron's on mute.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear anything. They're cranking upstairs today too, doing a bunch of construction. I couldn't hear anything that was just said. It was just violently loud. I'm gonna say my ideal size group. There it goes again. See, 6 to 12.
Jesus.
Yeah, we gotta mute you. All right. Well, Aaron could just nod his head and get in the. Aaron loves the comments anyway.
All right, 16.
I can't see it. I can't read the comments because.
Okay, Zach, you and I have a group of 16 people.
Okay.
Private Middle Fork of the Salmon trip.
Uh-huh.
Are we going to just take paddle boats out of the equation? Like,
Yeah.
okay. Then
That's 6 boats to me. 6.
Yeah.
5
5 or 6.
5 or 6 boats. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 rafts and a couple of inflatable kayaks would be fun.
What? Really? Come on, guys.
What if it was okay,
Wait, Zach, what did you see was your ideal size?
of people or boats? Aaron, that audio is brutal. You just gotta stay in audio. Figure out how to get in the comments. It's like put up signs in front of you so we can read them.
I can't
Get a
see.
Get a
Zach,
whiteboard.
so I can only hear.
Okay.
So,
that's
going
right.
Back to it.
Just sit there like who's the guy, the singer who plays piano?
Okay, Zach, what's your ideal size in number of people, Zach?
Here's the bigger question. I think this is the question. For me on the Middle Fork trip, it depends on the flow for sure, but like I don't know, 6 boats, 16 people. The question is more like for safety. So like if you want to run the like most responsible trip you can, what's the number of boats you want in your pod to be the most responsible looking out for each other? Like if you only have 2, that's not a lot of safety. If you have 6 or 8 or 10, that might be like too much. It's hard to keep the pod together.
3 to 5.
3 to 5?
Yeah. That's a really good 5 is a good number.
Yeah. I think
first boat can see the last boat most of the time.
I agree. I think I was reading a book about this today, and it made the case of 4 because then you have 2 pairs.
Yeah. Okay.
I kind of like that.
3 or 4 is nice depending on the type of river you're running, but yeah. And then I'm gonna say this, guys. I think the ideal group size is 6 to 12 people. Way small.
Mute him.
He muted himself. All right, let's move on. We have lots of questions. I'm going to keep this moving. Throw bags. Both hosts have expressed some preferences on throw bags during past shows. I know this is a rafting show, but if a person was rafting and kayaking and wanted to have a single throw bag they could use for both, are there any bags that stand out above others for dual use purpose?
Yes.
Do not say NRS throw bag. Anything but an NRS throw bag. Those things are
the NRS Compact Pro is an amazing bag, Zach. It's perfect.
No way. Nope.
Actually, I know some kayakers who carry the big one, the Pro.
I'm just going to leave my finger on his mute button. This is crazy. Hey, so Aaron, I know what Aaron's going to say.
Nonsense.
Aaron's going to say the NRS Rescue Pro because it has like 70-ish feet of rope. It's really throwable. My take is it's 1/4-inch rope. Even though I think it's Spectra or Dyneema or whatever, it's strong. You just can't pull on that rope. So Aaron, stop talking.
Not the 1/4-inch, the bigger one. That's the
the big one.
The big one.
I wouldn't kayak with that one. That doesn't fit in a kayak.
I've seen people do. You can put it right where your water bottle holder is. I've seen people put it in their water bottle holder spot, right in the front of it.
Aaron, that throwback is garbage. So, like, let's just agree to disagree. I think you're so stuck on the NRS throwbacks just to kind of piss me off. So I think that the Cocatat Huck, if you're going to go with a thinner rope, the Cocatat Huck is definitely superior to the NRS throwbacks. Aaron, I've been throwing like 10 throwbacks a day recently. I have data on throwbacks. That Huck, that thing is money. If you're going to go with a thinner rope, that thing is way better than the NRS bag. But if I was going to do both, I might use the huck, but you can't use it as a haul line because the rope is too thin. This is for swimmers only, getting a rope out to people. So what I would do is run a huck for that sits in my kayak. That's my personal rescue swimmer bag to get swimmers. And then something like what Aaron's saying, I would add that for rafting maybe. You need a rescue line for rafting. That's the problem. So if you want to, that's where it's tricky. So if you want to be throwable for kayaking and be able to haul on it for people, I'd probably go with that river station bag. The river station.
But how much is the huck not as strong as the NRS Compact Pro?
It's about the same rope. It throws way better than the
yeah, I don't think it throws way better.
And you're saying you can't pull on it because of the diameter of the rope.
It's just too thin. Right.
For Zach's huge manly hands.
For
us
everybody.
normal sized handed people.
You could pull a swimmer. You can pull a swimmer.
Yep. It's not awesome though. Still swimmers. You're not stoked. But you could.
That's why I know certain people who carry the full size. They're like, I carry a full size throw bag.
But if you're good, I'm gonna mute you.
Can you extricate a kayak with the thinner rope? You can't haul on it at all.
You could probably extricate a kayak because you'll just figure it out. Like,
so why wouldn't a thinner rope be better? Because when you get to the raft, you're gonna have a bigger line.
But that's his point. He only wants to have one throw bag.
Right.
He wants a dual purpose. So he wants one. So if you're gonna haul on your raft, you need one that can haul on a raft. And so the one Aaron's talking about can haul on a raft. It has good rope in it. Same thing with the river station one that has good rope in it. It's not as good actually.
You've got tons of space in the kayak. You can easily put it right behind your back band too. Like think how huge those floats are. You could totally carry it. You can carry a full size bag. It just doesn't look cute. And kayakers want their cute gear.
Aaron, if you're going to carry that full size bag on a raft trip, would you then carry a big safety line?
This is the point. I think this is what this person's getting at is they want to have one rope. And so if you had like a little Kokata huck and a safety line, you're good. But they're not bringing a safety line. They're bringing a throw bag that is their haul line and their personal throw line. And as a kayaker, you put it in the water bottle cage. Now, if you put it behind you in a kayak, you're not going to grab it that often. You can, but it's like,
it's not that much harder. Is that, come on, you just reach behind you, get it.
In reality, it's not that much harder, but in reality, you're just not going to grab it as often. Where it's like right between your legs, you grab it, you put it back. It's normal. So I don't think you're going to take the big one.
I'm not reading this question as saying they're not going to bring a big, full 200-foot safety line.
Okay, I'm going to say this though. You're a kayak
throw bag to bring.
Yeah, I'm going to say is you're a kayaker on a trip with rafts. A lot of times you can get someplace the rafts can't get. And so if you need to pull from a spot where the rafts can't get, it would be helpful to have that thicker throw bag so you could set up a mechanical advantage from there. You just have a lot more options from there than you do with your
Aaron, you're trying so hard to defend this NRS throw bag. You're stuck on this throw bag you've used a lot. I get it. You've used it a bunch. You haven't. It's still 1997 for you. You haven't got to modern throw bags. Aaron's just like, I'm over it. This show sucks. He's out. But let me answer the question again. Let me give my quick answer. We've debated it. If I'm going to have one throw bag, it would probably be the ones I promote, the WWTC ones. Get the 20 meter with a good pulling rope. The only problem is it's not an easy way to tie it in a kayak because it doesn't have like a little loopy thing, and you're going to have to wear it as a waist belt. So I in that case would probably go right now with the river station like boat bag.
Why are you so against NRS? It's got the clip. You can clip it in really easily right behind you. You unclip it, you take it out, you put it in. It's very easy to carry. It's the jack of all trades. Yes, it's not the best.
It's so floppy,
but you can deal with everything with it. It is unbelievably. It's a utilitarian. It is like the one.
So is the river
bag to meet all needs.
So is the river. So is the river
Zach,
station.
You want your 6 throw bags for each different situation. Yes, if you're like Zach and you're an outfitter and you can afford to have all this stuff. But if you're someone like me, it's great throw bag to have. It's really universal.
Okay, I just don't like that throw bag at all. It's so floppy. When it hangs my raft, it's flopping around. When it's in my kayak,
I beat you in the throwback competition using that throwback.
Oh,
Zach.
Come back, Aaron. We'll do it again. Dude, I will. Come on back. We've been playing this game lately. We've been throwing a lot of throwbacks where we have a jar out and everybody gets one. Everybody puts $1 in the jar, and everybody gets one throw bag, and if they hit the target, they get the jar. And so, and then if nobody hits it, the jar just moves on to the next day. So we've been doing a lot of throwback tosses for money lately, and nobody's picking up that throwback, Aaron. And everybody's testing on everything, but that throwback is the last bag anybody picks up for accuracy. We have attacked this question like you wouldn't believe. Like
We didn't answer it though, but we attacked it.
And I'm gonna say another thing here too is that like I agree Kokatep makes nice products, but I do just feel like their customer service doesn't back up their products. So if you have a problem with it, they're probably not gonna be very helpful. That's my other problem with Kokatep.
Burn.
Yeah, I've not been impressed with Kokatep, and from what I've heard from other people, I've not been hearing good things. And I think their products are so good, but I think there's like,
I'm gonna choose the best product, not the one who answers the phone.
Well, I think the ones who back up their products is nice too.
Okay, I don't want to get into this whole.
Yeah, you can avoid it.
But I think you could, if you were a kayaker. I think the diameter of the line, you don't need to have a diameter of line that's going to address pulling a raft off of a rock.
You don't know.
You
don't.
What happens if you're kayaking with rafters though?
That should be a different tool.
Yeah.
Your throw bag should be to get that bigger line out to the raft if necessary, or to use in your kayak to rescue a swimmer or do your own little kayak things. But I think those are, don't try and solve. If you're going to solve for the bigger problem, then you can't have a smaller line.
How are you, Steve, if you need to get to an eddy that you can't get to in a raft with the kayak, how are you going to get how you can get that other line over with them? What are you going to do? You're going to have them put on their back? Definitely those big, huge haul lines are not going to fit in their kayak, and they're not going to want to carry that in there.
I'm not going to depend on the
smaller line as the transfer.
Let's say you got to get to the kayak. We need to pull from river right. And like the kayak's like, hey, I can carry my kayak back up. I can get over there and I can throw them a line. Well, great. How are you getting the haul line over there then?
That's a weird example. That's like a very specific. What if this exact thing happens?
But I think that's the purpose. The kayaks are the advantage of having a kayaker on a ship is they can get places the rafts can't.
Yeah,
and
but
in terms of rescues, I've seen that multiple times where kayakers have thrown bags in places that the rafters could not easily access.
I'm going to say the advantage of kayakers is so you can use fewer ropes, because the kayaker can go solve a problem and keep us from using a rope. So I would use fewer ropes if I had kayakers around. I'm gonna answer this question one more time and move on. I think you should get 2 throw bags. And the reason is because if you pull your throw bag out of your kayak and take it rafting, you might forget to put it back in your kayak. And I'm somebody who does that a lot.
You should take your kayak out to dry it out anyways, and not just leave it in your kayak so it gets all funky smelling.
If you're paddling every day, that's not going to happen. Or if you're paddling a lot, that's not going to happen. But I'm going to say, like, it's nice to leave it in your kayak, and so you're not like kayaking like, oh man, I forgot my throw bag. I used it rafting yesterday. So I would get a kayaking specific throw bag, like the Kokatep Huck is good. And then
do you not believe in wearing a waist throw bag when you're kayaking?
I don't like to, no.
Why is that?
It's just in my way. It's like bulky. I don't like swimming with it that much either. If I swim in kayaking, I want to get to shore. I don't want to have a big thing in the back. So it's weird to me kayaking with a waist throw bag.
It seems advantageous to have one though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it would. It's good. I mean, would I rather swim better or have a rope accessible? Probably swim better.
And then Zach, why doesn't that apply when you're rafting?
I don't know. Oh, because I'm not doing as hard as stuff. When I'm rafting, it's generally not like
you kayak harder stuff than you raft now.
Yeah.
Do you wear a waist throw bag when you raft?
I'm starting to, yeah.
Really?
I don't always, but I'm starting to. I like having it. Captain Ron mentions Aaron likes this one too. The NRS Pro Guardian Wedge waist throw bag. I just ordered one today.
It's a sick throw bag. I just do it in my pile for my guide school. Yeah, it's great.
I just ordered one today because Aaron's been recommending it. I can tell you for a fact it's not better than those WWTC throw bags, but I have one.
Well, I'm gonna say you're gonna win a lot more. You're gonna win a lot more money in your little game using the Compact Pro than any other throw bag.
It's not a little game. This is serious business, Aaron. Little game. All right, let's move on.
Skills contest.
God. All right. If you needed to complete a single setup for pins, Aaron and I can argue again about the same thing we've argued about before. If you need to complete a single set for pins and clips today, what would you buy? Assume bare oar shafts and empty oar towers, no parts, bin to pull from. Let me. You can start talking, Aaron and Steve. I'll go grab pins and clips so we can argue about this. Hold on.
Steve, did you used to use the ones where you'd screw it down into the top, where you had the rubber ball with the bolt?
Yeah, those don't get those.
These are the ones that Aaron likes.
I do too. Yeah, I don't like that stirrup.
Yeah, the stirrup.
No, I like the PVC or the plastic sleeve. That's the only thing I like.
Plastic sleeve. Okay.
Yeah.
What about this?
That with a plastic sleeve is what I would. That's exactly what I would.
Why
choose.
the plastic sleeve?
Oh no, Steve. Oh,
Aaron, wow, you've abandoned me. How can you?
He has.
the black ball. The black ball pops off.
No.
It pops off. It always pops up at the worst moment possible.
No. Easily fixed. That's a maintenance problem.
Yeah.
Sorry, you've had that difficulty.
Yep.
You can fix that.
No, I've seen that problem with a lot of other people. Personally, it hasn't happened on my boat, but I've just seen it too often.
Aaron, we've talked about this before. You know the answer is a split ring. You put a split ring on there, it stays on, or some Loctite thing people get.
I'm sure people don't always do it. Then they're replacing parts, taking parts off. They don't have that part. They forget, and then it pops off.
Loctite.
The
or
problem
silicone,
is, Zach, is like
or silicone in there, and it won't come loose.
People have way more problems with the black balls than I do with the rubber top with the bolt sticking out. Way less problems with it. I've seen way less user error and way less failure on the river with that system. Not with the. I don't like the PVC though. No PVC because the PVC breaks too. The PVC.
What's the PVC?
The PVC around the shaft.
Yeah, Steve. Why? I noticed on the Arctic rigs you started putting these things on it. Why do you like the PVC tube?
Originally, it was because the clips were bigger and that you needed that spacer in there. But it's a smoother. It's not metal on metal.
It goes in and out a little easier.
Yeah.
And then the plastic breaks, and then it's really loose and all sloppy.
You have to take care of your equipment.
Yep.
I know that's a challenge.
And then you're leaving little chunks of the PVC in the river.
I kind of want to just mute Aaron just because he's on a tear riding today.
The one thing I would recommend though, wrap the oars and put the clip on over the oar wraps in case you want. Yeah, in case you want
spinnies
to
later.
Switch to oar locks. Be able to go back and forth. You can take those clips off, swap the pins for oar locks, go right into it.
I feel like it makes it really hard to get them through the stirrups though when they're wrapped.
No difficult, not difficult at all.
I've been doing it the past couple of weeks because we have people in our classes that want pins and clips, so we've been throwing the clips over our rope wraps.
Works really well.
You have to pan them a little bit. Sometimes the diameter is not quite right, but it works great.
Yeah, I'd definitely get the oars wrapped professionally when you buy them, if you can.
So I'm going to say this. None of the outfitters on Cherry Creek use the little black balls.
Okay, here
we
go.
All use the bolted down.
Cherry Creek, we all use
they're more reliable, they're more
bags,
secure, they're more sturdy.
It's all
you
about
crank that thing on, it's not coming off. And there's no plastic around it. It's a steel sheath on it. They got the smaller clips though, and Steve. That's a big thing to be aware of. Is the different size clips.
Yep. The round ball is more aesthetically pleasing to me. That's the only advantage of it. All those other disadvantages Aaron said are true. I'll give him that. Aaron, what about the stirrups? Those versus the softer ones?
Oh, I think we're all in agreement.
Plastic.
This
is terrible.
This is the NRS makes this stirrup. Like you should not buy this from the stirrup NRS. You can get these, I think, from either Clavey or Downriver. I don't know. Get these things for sure.
But I'm going to say about the white ones though, if you're using them a lot, they definitely degrade in the sun pretty quickly. But if you wrap them with duct tape, they don't degrade nearly as fast, and they hold up.
It looks really, really classy too. Yeah.
You just replace these every so often. You just pay.
Yeah, if you're rich again. If you're rich like Zach,
don't leave them out in the sun when you're not on the river. Like, take them off in the winter. If you have to leave your frame outside, get them out of the sun. I agree. Zach, show why the black stirrups are less effective.
It's just when the oars in there kind of flops low, and you can't, like, if it pops out, you can't pop it back in. It comes out and then you got to like fidget with it. Where this one, when it pops out, you can usually just grab it and just shove it right back in the rapid. I've seen people struggle with these so bad.
And there's another key difference between those two. Because you guys talked about the most noticeable one is like sliding it back in and slamming it back in. The other difference, and the reason to not put duct tape around, I thought you guys were going to use this to say this, is the white is definitely designed to break away. If you put too much tension on, it'll break. Those leather ones, I don't think they snap. They break it the same way. They'll hold it until your oar cracks, right?
Yeah, I've heard that as a problem.
So the white thing is like a circuit breaker. You know, if like you've just put tons of force on it, this one might break before your oar breaks or something else.
In general, I have seen it break numerous times from that. Just like they break with enough force and it just breaks it.
Well, Aaron finally said something that we agree with. we agree too. Looking forward to using the white ones. Those black ones are worse. They're definitely worse. Let's see. And I also noticed there was a question completely off topic, but we're going to talk about a Rasta boat last week. I don't think so. I'm not sure, kid. Okay, let's move on. More questions. We got more questions to get to. Hopefully we answered that one adequately. I think you can recognize, like, we completely disagree on this. So sorry about not having a good answer for you. Okay, here we go. This is the one Aaron needs to be here for. I noticed the dates for the 2024 rowing clinics have been posted. I have a two-part question. Part one, does Zach think if somebody goes through Aaron's Lake Tahoe Community College course, takes a switchwater rescue course, and does a summer's worth of private boating on rivers like the South Fork American and Carson River, they would have sufficient experience to participate in the NWRC Class 4 rowing school? First of all, I want to make them be clear. Like, these courses are not, they're hard. I'm doing them right now. They're cold. And we're challenging people. This is not like a fun little rowing class or like a rowing clinic. This is like, we're getting out there. We're doing a lot of training. So this isn't if you want fun, go to Class 3 rowing school. If you want to have a great time, that's the best education we do. The Class 4 rowing school is training. All right. With that, I think as long as you actually do the summers with the private boating, a lot of people sign up for a course saying they're going to boat a bunch, and then they don't actually do the boating. And they show up with just education and not experience, and they maybe quit the class after day 2 because it's too hard. So you have to go do that summer's worth of private boating.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Where are you going for that? What is, when people say boat a lot in the summer, that means very different things to different people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I remember when we were part of the Davis program, people talk about, oh yeah, I've been guiding for 4 years now. And you're like, yeah, you went out 3 times each summer. And then someone else, you know, like Ali Greco, she got like 120 days each summer. And you're like, yeah, there's a huge difference between the person who spent 100+ days on the river every summer and the person who spent 4 to 10, you know? And so I think that's the other thing too, is like, what do you mean by a lot of time on the river? I think that's a key component to this to discuss.
It's hard to define because some people are super athletic and just get it. And like, that might mean 5 days. And some people aren't as athletic and they need like 20. It's hard to describe, but you definitely need experience. You cannot just take Aaron's class and show up. You would get destroyed.
And I'm going to say, I think you're going to get, the more time you've spent on the water, the more that you're going to get out of your class, Zach. Knowing what you guys do, if you put a good 20, 25 days in, you're going to have, it's going to mean so much more and you're going to retain a lot more. It's going to be a lot more worthwhile.
Yeah. And it's not fair to the other students. If there's 1 or 2 weak people, that hurts, because this is team. We do team boating. We're working as a group. We can only do things based on everybody. So if you show up and you're a weak link, that's not fair to the rest of the group. So I'd say this seems reasonable. I know I promote Aaron's Lake Tahoe Community College course, but I mean, honestly, I'd rather have you do a Class 3 rowing school because we just do rowing. Where like Aaron's Lake Tahoe Community College course is more comprehensive and it's for professional guides. So like our system for classes works better as like take our Class 3 school, get experience, take a rescue class, and then do Class 4. Not that Aaron's class is bad. I'm just saying I prefer our Class 3 school.
Yeah. The class I'm teaching is going to drill you. You're going to get hammered. Like, it's going to be hard. And I think your rowing schools are meant to be nice, introductory. Like, just challenge it, but not quite the same as like, no, we're going to you can get a little beat up on this. Like, you're going to be humbled. Like, that's part of the point of it. You want to be a commercial guide, you got to know your limits and understand how powerful the river is. And we got to put you in places that are pretty dynamic.
Mhm.
So that's kind of I think there's definitely a different goal between the rowing school and what we do. But I think having that experience sets you up for success. Like, you're not as concerned about those other variables because you've been exposed to more in terms of what the river stuff and being in the water and doing those things and the flips and all that stuff that it sets you up for success. And I think if you can paddle captain, it's really easy to learn to row. It doesn't take that much time. If you can drive a paddle boat, stepping over to rowing doesn't take that much time. And not that we're not doing some rowing in the course too. We're definitely doing rowing as well, but versus just doing 5 straight days of rowing. So
I think Aaron's Lake Tahoe course is much closer to your class 4 course than it is to your class 3 course.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a better representation, or closer to what you're going to do on a class 4 school than your class 3 school is. Swiftwater rescue thing, that would depend a lot on if it was a firefighter one or one that was specifically designed towards whitewater boating. A summer's worth of private boating, is that 20 days? Is that the number that we're like?
I'd say 10. Like, realistically, the average person isn't.
No, I know, but what would you want? I think if somebody said, "Hey, I had 20 days on the South Fork after I did these 2 things," you'd be like,
if somebody had 10, I'd be happy. Actually,
I think this 10 is satisfactory. If you want to get good, 20 is what you're looking for. Over 20, I would say. Like, if you really want to get good at this, build your skills. You want to find a way to get 20 days of rowing. And just, let's say summer, it's just like you're starting in like April and you're going into October. So you got a lot more months to do it too, and you're going the shoulder season, you're putting on a wetsuit and you're continuing to do it because those are great times to be on the water, as we all know.
I think I'd rather, Steve made a good point. Like, Aaron's class is actually going to duplicate a lot of the stuff we do in the class 4 school.
Yeah.
So like class 3 school for us is like an introduction to rowing. Like, let's get our feet under us. Let's like learn about rowing. We don't talk about a lot of stuff that guides learn, like about boat spacing, boat order, leaving eddies as a team, entering exits as a team, like more rescue type things. Class 3 is more, hey, let's get in a boat, let's row, let's catch some eddies, let's get our foundation set. The Lake Tahoe Community College will duplicate the things we do a lot of ways in the class 4 school. So, yeah. So I think you probably
also say,
that's a really good point. Yeah, I totally agree.
And that if 10 days is your sort of summer's worth or optimum number that you would want, I would say there's a huge difference between 2 days in May, 2 days in June, 2 days in July, 2 days in August, and 2 days in September versus 6 days in June and 4 days in August. Like, compress those things together. It's a process, and you lose some of it between trips, between days on the river. You would go backwards. And I think the less going backwards you do, the better, those more effective those 10 days are going to be. I don't think 10 days in a row would necessarily be the optimum thing, but compressing them closer together, I think I'd try to optimize for that.
That's a really good point, Steve. Totally agree. It's like learning to ski. You like ski one day, a month there, ski one day, a month there, and you ski. I ski 12 days this year. Not going to work as well as like, group of 3 here.
6 in a row.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, that's a good analogy. And I feel like the amount of time you need too is similar. Like, in terms of the repetition, a few days in a row, it's a similar dynamic.
Here we go. Heidi says go to guide school. I think Heidi would make the case she should go to ARTA Professional Guide School first.
Which I'll say the ARTA Professional Guide School and the Lake Tahoe Guide School, I mean,
the same thing.
They're very similar. There's some minor differences in them, but most of the content is pretty comparable. So,
but my final answer here is it's the class 4 school is built around you doing the class 3 school and then getting experience and then coming to us. So it's not optimal, but that seems like it works. It's not optimal because we're not going to know what you've already learned exactly. And, like, we expect you to have experience rowing. So that it would probably work, but no promises. You might show up and be like, I already learned all this stuff. You're just teaching me stuff Aaron taught me. And so I want to take this second right here. And we talked about the rescue stuff. And I came up with this list today. I've been working on the difference between rescue for rafters, rescue for kayakers, and like traditional swiftwater rescue, which is like rescue for firefighters, and like the different like needs and expectations and what people, the techniques they learn and how they use them. I know this is a lot of information, but I want to get your thoughts, Steve, before Aaron gets here and says some weird things.
I think lots of rescue
I'm
gear.
listening. I'm just not on screen.
Oh, great.
Lots of rescue gear, minimal safety gear. Like, huge difference. Are you like, why learn how to train with a rescue litter and hoists and ropes and 6 different lines and all those things if you're not going to have them with you? So that's where the pro rescuer training is specifically for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of tools, minimal gear.
Yep. And the things you're rescuing, like
Absolutely. Yeah. Those are really good points.
Like
Victims
we're not
dressed and capable, victims not dressed or capable.
Yep. Like we just did some scenarios, and I set some scenarios up for the people in my class to come through, and they came through and just mopped it up. No problem. I had a pin swimmer, a swimmer on a rock, and a super perched raft. They came through and just cleaned it up. And then I asked one of the people in the class who's a firefighter, if you came and had to clean this up, how would you do it? And it involved people on live bait. It involved a bunch of like land-based techniques that would have taken
6
a long
trucks.
time. Yeah, a lot of trucks, a lot of gear, a lot of people on belay, ropes everywhere, where a group of capable boaters came down and just mopped it up. And I was the victim on a rock, but I was useful. I wasn't just like cold and tired and useless.
Right.
I could jump in a raft because I'm a rafter. So I had some ability to assist in my own rescue. The other thing I think is how we dress. Like professional rescuers are like Batman. They have like stuff everywhere. They have like, they have these belts around their waist with all kinds of gear. And I feel like rafters and kayakers are dressed like Batgirl, like sleek outfits so we can pull ourselves in and out of our boats and swim really well. So it's like a different aesthetic in terms of what the rescuers look like.
And as I think your bottom point is pretty limited or a pretty narrow range of emergencies that we're going to face in our world versus what a pro rescuer is going to face and what they have to train for. They're going to be dealing with a lot more bizarre things.
Yep.
Than I think we are.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're going to deal with the same ones a lot. There's certain things that we're going to see a lot. Like we're going to see a lot of flips. We're going to see a lot of rafts. We're going to see a lot of swimmers. And I think it's interesting. The Swiftwater courses I've done, we don't spend that much time on those 3 things in the Swiftwater courses. Right? We don't spend that much time reflipping rafts and discussing them. We do a little bit and we move on to rope stuff. And like how much time do we actually practice picking up swimmers and be in the right spot and ferrying out to pick up swimmers or being in the water ourselves? Yeah, we don't put there's not enough time put into practicing those skills in my mind.
Our last discussion about belly lines that we had last week, like that's something that should be taught. Like if I'm going to tell a person, go take a rescue class, like Homeboy who did last question is going to go take a rescue class to get safer, better. But I bet most rescue class don't teach putting a belly line in a raft as like a good technique. Where I feel like that should be taught in those sort of classes. If it's like rescue and safety, like techniques for people that can't get in their boats to get back in their boats or hold on to their boats upside down.
I bet it's discussed. But I'll bet you that most of them aren't like using them and trying them out and like putting 3 different types on top and trying each of them out and see which one works well for you and what works well for you when the boat's right back up. Tips and things you can do to make it easier to climb in your boat when it's right side up as well. I feel like all that stuff just gets kind of brushed over. It might get hit on like in terms of something gets said about it, but it's not emphasized that much. And that seems to me like that's a fundamental. It's a fundamental skill is like flipping your boat back over or climbing back into your raft, climbing on top of an upside down boat. And it should be something, it should be a focus versus oh, you have this foot entrapment this far away in this depth of water with this going on, then you're going to use this technique. It's just like,
I've been thinking,
cool.
I've been thinking about foot entrapments a lot, because if you're a professional rescuer, you learn like 5 different techniques to do it, but you're also like paid to train. So on your days off, like at the station, wherever you're training on these things, as a rafter or kayaker, you go to a rescue class once, but you never train on those 5 techniques. So just like these techniques out there. So I feel like teaching one simple technique that you know really well versus a whole bunch of things that are like get confused in your head. And I think that's a big difference with professional rescuers is they're trained. I think rescuers train a lot. They practice a lot. Kayakers, I think, get a lot of practice. Like when you're kayaking, things go wrong. So you're like, a lot of kayakers are ninjas with rescues because they've just done a lot of them. And the rafters don't actually train that much. Like that's like when I say minimal training, I mean like don't on their own time go practice these techniques. They take a class once and that's training. They don't do it that much. So Halder is a rescue instructor, and I'm curious what Halder thinks here big time. Sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
All right. What was I going to say? Yeah, you think about it, like every time you go kayaking, it feels like one of your buddies swims. Somebody's going to swim, but how often are you on a trip where a raft flips? It's just way less common. But when it does happen, it's just as important to be able to recover as quickly as if a kayaker, swims, or more importantly, because there's more going on. There's more people in the water. But the kayakers, you're right, they get a lot of reps. And the rafters, we don't in general. And that's one of the things I like about teaching guide schools every year, honestly, is like it gets me out, it gets me practicing all the skills because I'm demoing them, I'm modeling them. We're trying to get creative ways to put them into our course so that people can, practice their rescue skills. And that forces us as guides to do it before the start of the season. So
Aaron, you need to practice because this throwback competition is on. You better get a lot of practice next week. Just bring your NRS throwback.
No, I'm not going to get any practice. I'm going to off the couch it.
Yeah,
and
that's not.
I'm going to pull up my old NRS throwback and I'm going to beat you with it and just humble you.
So getting back to this, so like
part 2.
Steve's, you're not going to humble me. Trust me. I will destroy you right now. I am a ninja with a throwback right now. Steve's point about a rescue class, like make sure it's appropriate for like it's a rafting one, because I think that's more helpful. If you think it's just a regular class, it's not that important for our class 4 school. Okay, part 2 of this question is, does Aaron think someone who successfully completes his guide school, takes a swiftwater rescue course, and does a summers with a private boating on rivers like the South Fork American and Carson would have sufficient experience to participate in the NWRC class 4 school?
Totally. I mean, yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I think you're going to be well prepared for it. I think it'll be a fun course too. Like from what I've seen of your course, Zach, I think it's a good course. One of the problems I feel with the course that we teach is like they're drinking from the fire hose in a way, because we're trying to give all this information early on, and to come back the next year and to like cover a lot of it again, particularly the team boating stuff, and to refine those skills would be phenomenal. I think that would be incredible. And like that's the one reason we would do advanced trainings too with different outfitters, is because like initially you teach all this stuff in guide school and then they go out and guide for a year or two and they're like, okay, now let's come back and let's like kind of review a lot of the stuff again. And then it's like, oh, and then like a lot of it, I feel like a lot of it doesn't click that first time through, or the nuance of it is lacking just because there's just so much content there.
Let me act as moderator for just a second, since it's the two of you who were asked these questions. Aaron's answer to his part of the question was clearly, unequivocally, absolutely. That was his response. Zach, can you narrow yours down to maybe just 2 or 3 words?
You do better if you take the class 3 school.
You think so?
Yeah. Before.
Well, you're saying you do better in your class 4 school?
If you did the class 3 school.
Wait.
Like you would do better in the class 4 school. I would rather them take the class 3 school than Aaron's
okay.
It's a better introduction for the class 4 school. Like they're meant to work together.
But answer the question. Do you think they would have sufficient experience to participate in the NWRC class 4?
Well, I think they'd be better prepared for your course if they took.
I'm sure you think that. I'm just telling my opinion. I would say if you consider summers with a private boating, like 10 days. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Good.
But Zach, for your course, do you think you could go straight from the beginner course to the advanced course with just taking your course and not doing any practicing?
No, do not. Nobody should do that.
Okay.
Can I just say this though? So even though I was left out of the question, this is the person that we want out on the river.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah.
This is the kind of boater that we are encouraging. This is the kind of training we want everyone to have, right?
Training and experience combined.
Training and experience. Yes. That package. This is when I run into this person on wherever it is, Middle Fork of the Salmon, on the road, wherever you run into this person in the Grand Canyon, you're probably going to have a nice experience with them in camp. You're not going to be pulling them off of a rock or rescuing them from something. They're not going to get in over their head. And that is such a good approach for people to have. So applause to whoever asked the question.
And the good thing about taking a class from Aaron versus taking a class through school is you're getting a variety of experience too.
Yep.
Like you're getting a massive, you're getting our philosophy and Aaron's philosophy, and you're getting the paddle boating. You're getting a lot of diversity in instruction. So that's a good positive for doing it that way.
Yeah, that's a good point, Zach.
I agree.
That's
valuable.
Because we're not always right. We just have a philosophy.
Well, it's not even that you're always right. I think there's also just hearing in different ways and seeing different perspectives, to the same goal of running a safe trip. It's just like, I coach a lot of water polo. I love when the kids I coach go play for other coaches, because they come back and there'll be something I've been trying to work on with them for like ever. And they'll come back, oh, the other coach told me to do this. So I'm doing it. You're like, dude, I've been trying to get you to do this for years. And it's just like hearing a little different. I think hearing in a different way makes a huge difference. So,
okay. Aaron, do you want to do Steve, do you want to do your mental angle?
Yeah. Are you done with questions?
We have more questions, but let's take a break.
Okay.
It's time for the mental angle featuring Steve Welch. In this segment, Steve helps us approach the mental game of guiding, trip leading, and running whitewater. Let's all give Steve a big welcome.
Thank you. So we've been talking about what I am starting to call a pre-trip check-in, which would be a way for everybody who's going boating together to sort of touch bases before we go to address some topics. I made a list of those topics. And what I want to do with you guys is see if that list is complete, and then maybe try and prioritize which ones we would include for a day trip and a multi-day trip. Does that work?
I'm in.
How do I share my screen?
Oh man. Is there a thing at the bottom that says share screen? A little button?
Present.
Hit present.
Share screen.
Yep.
Sharing screen is. We'll see which one you get. Oh. I have to give you permission.
Oh, this might take a while. Is it something you email to me and I can just share screen?
No.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for that, Aaron, let's go back to this, because I've been working hard on this. I think I forgot to put under rafters flipping boats. I got to add that.
Yeah, I can't see any of it. Just let you know.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Zach.
My name is Zach. You really can't see.
Yeah, I can't even hear either. No, I can't even see the topics at the top. I think
the other thing I've been thinking about, I'm interested in how Haldor thinks here, is the use of ropes, because I feel like a pro rescuer might have to. They have ropes that you might need to rappel on, or like put lives at the end of in terms of vertically, if that makes sense. Like. Mm-hmm. You need ropes and systems that hold people maybe on a cliff. Whereas rafters and kayakers, our ropes and our systems are generally for equipment. We're throwing a throw bag to a person and swinging them to the shore, but if they don't make it, they let go. They're not going to die. Whereas like a pro rescuer might have somebody on a vertical wall or something, or they have more of a, if it's a flood, if that rope breaks, that person's going down a flooded river, they're probably going to die. So I feel like ropes this is just my guess. And I'd love to, again, Haldor, if you have an opinion here, I'd love to hear it, that ropes for professional rescuers need to hold people, and ropes for kayakers and rafter, don't need to be as stout. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Aaron, do you have any thoughts about that?
I don't know if I want to go down that road at all. I think the loads you're putting on the ropes for like mechanical advantages are pretty significant loads. So
They're significant.
I agree with you in terms of like the risk. Like, yeah, I agree on one aspect. I understand what you're saying, but I think the other aspect though is that like if those systems break, you can really hurt people anyways. And so I would hesitant to be less detail oriented or less concerned about those variables of the rope and those things when I'm doing mechanical advantages with the river rescue than if I'm bullying somebody with it. For both, I'd be concerned. And I feel like you should have almost an equal amount of concern with both. That's just me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just like when I'm setting up an anchor on a raft, if it breaks, I usually have some sort of backup. So like if the system breaks, people can get hurt for sure. But if you have like a 2-point anchor and you put a PFD on it and you have a redirect, like you're triple covered, right? But if the system breaks, like my webbing breaks or something breaks, it's just typically we don't save the raft. It's not like a person's on the end of that rope, rock climbing could die. And I feel like professional rescuers need to treat the ropes and their equipment in a way a rock climber would, where rafters and kayakers, like our carabiners, we don't take care of our carabiners. You drop it on the ground. If you're a climber, you drop your carabiner on the ground, you're going to probably get rid of it. Whereas like rafters, we'll just put it back in our safety kit. We're not as like fanatical about our gear. We don't need to be as fanatical as our gear. We should be, but we don't.
I agree, we aren't as fanatical, but I don't know. I feel like we should be. I guess that's why I agree with that.
So if you dropped a locking carabiner on the ground, Aaron, you would just throw it away?
No, because I never do use mechanical advantage, so I'm not worried about it. I use locking carabiners to clip my water bottle in.
You never use mechanical advantage. I thought you never used the word never.
I don't, but yeah, I don't use. Yeah, you're right. I don't use mechanical advantage, so it's a really a moot point for me.
Okay. You still doing that, or should we answer another question here too? If you keep working on it,
we're gonna go to questions. And I'm going to figure out how to do this maybe by the next show. I'm getting closer, but I have to move it into Google Sheets.
Okay. Here's a question. Do you have any experience at Arc Rafts? Thoughts? Looking for a 15-foot Zambezi model for the Grand. I have zero experience. I don't think Aaron or Steve. Aaron, you're on mute. I don't think either of them have experience with these boats.
Who makes Arc Rafts? Is that just another one of those? Is that there's probably one factory in China that produces all these boats for all these companies. Is this another PVC boat?
It might.
Can you bring it up? Can you bring it up real quick? Because I can't type anything in.
Oh, Aaron, you are so useless right now.
I really am. It's pretty fun.
It's not fun. Rafts. You're making up with it with being fiery. Arc.
I'm trying to do my best to add to it any way I can.
See, I mean, usually if you Google something, it comes up, but Arc, Whitewater, I can't even Google them. If you can't Google them, that's probably a sign. Arkansas.
So where do you buy these boats, the Arc boats?
I don't know.
How much do you say they cost? Do you say how much they cost?
South Africa. They're probably cheap. Here we go. Arc, Nile. There we go. ZA Zambezi. Is that Arc? Can you see this, Aaron? Is it coming up?
Sort of. Yeah, it looks like a website.
Rubber fender. It comes with a grab line, 6 conveniently placed carry handles for easy portage. I think it's
what's the material?
Arcs can supply rafts in different fabric specification for particular applications, polyurethane and poly/PVC blends.
Oh.
So maybe they have a few different ones.
But you can't ship those to the U.S. easily, can you?
I mean, most boats are shipped to the U.S. I have no idea. I don't know. We have no experience with these.
Well, I'm gonna say, I think it's hard to just ship boats on your own to the U.S. I think it's complicated to get one boat shipped over, and it's probably pretty costly.
Okay, I have another question. Do you think it should be mandatory that rafts have handles on the bow and the stern?
No.
It's better if they do.
No, it doesn't matter that much.
I tried to get an upside down raft the other day that did not have a handle at the bow and stern. It was really hard.
Did you have a perimeter line on your boat?
No. Oh, so you're saying if I had a perimeter line, I could use that to get up. Okay. It was an air. It didn't have a handle at the bow. And usually with air, I usually put perimeter lines on because they don't usually have enough handles. So I'll try that. It was hard.
I think that's the thing. If you're into perimeter lines, handles aren't really necessary.
It's debatable. But I'm not going to debate.
I mean, like when I have a perimeter line on my boat, I rarely hold on to the handle.
All right, we'll move on to the next question while Steve types. Okay, here we go. Here's okay. Actually, I saw people
could see that
on Mountain Buzz. People were talking about you guys liking Therm-a-Rests. So here's the question. Okay, it's become a debate. Steve made the comment on Tuesday that a properly inflated Therm-a-Rest is more comfortable and stressed properly inflated. I'm sorry, I'm reading this terribly. I'll start over. Steve made the comment on Tuesday that a properly inflated Therm-a-Rest is more comfortable and stressed properly inflated. So, with what is the proper way to inflate a Therm-a-Rest, cause a lot of us think you're all crazy, but maybe we're just doing it wrong. This is a good chance for me to practice reading. I'm terrible at reading.
What's the question?
How do you? Okay, is it okay? First of all, you guys both said, and I agreed that Therm-a-Rest is more comfortable than a Paco.
I did not say that. I did not say more comfortable.
Oh, I thought you did. We may have to bring.
I definitely. I don't think I said it's more comfortable.
Okay, Steve.
I just think there's some advantages to the Therm-a-Rest, and I usually use a Therm-a-Rest. But I'm going to say this. I think for a lot of people, a Paco pad is more comfortable, and I'm going to say that if someone is a gear who beats on gear, those people who are rough on gear, we all have those friends who you would never lend any of your gear to. I think the Paco pad is better for people like that because even if it gets some holes in it, you can still sleep on it. The Therm-a-Rest gets some holes in it, it's a mess. So I think there's a certain subset of the boating world that's way better off with the Therm-a-Rest. I mean, with the Paco pad.
This question is just about comfort. This is just about.
Well,
comfort.
That's the key part. If it's got a hole in it, your Therm-a-Rest is like I'll. But the other thing is I'll sleep.
Oh my God, Aaron! Why don't you take care of your equipment better?
Yeah, I do. You know me. I still have all of my original equipment.
But I'm just saying,
we know other people, and I kind of don't want to name names here, but we definitely all know some other people who are extremely hard on gear.
Okay, but I don't know that a Therm-a-Rest with the hole in it is any less comfortable than a Paco pad with a hole in it.
The Paco pads have holes in them you can still sleep on fine. You don't even notice. Like the Paco pads,
it depends.
You notice if they get full of water, but you don't need to and you notice if they got all the air sucked out of them. I feel like the Paco pad, you just have to open it up and let it open up, and then you can sleep on it. You don't have to close the valve before going to sleep. But with the Therm-a-Rest, you got to close the valve and you got to put air into it. So
you do have to close the valve, yes. So this is what we
the
bring on our
trips. I
trips.
don't even close my valve. Go ahead, yeah.
This is what we bring on our trips. It's about as thick as a Paco pad. If you put them side by side, it rolls up small. It has a really nice valve. They're pretty durable. They're expensive. I mean, not as much as a Paco pad, but like
not as
if
much
you
as
want
a Paco
luxury,
pad, half as much as a Paco pad.
Yep. This is a sweet pad. I'm convinced these are as comfortable as a Paco pad. It depends which one you get. So like this one, try this luxury. This one is even better.
Zach, how well do they work if you leave the valve open?
They don't. You got to close the valve properly. Or if you want this
bad
bad boy.
That's my point.
And
the other thing that's nice about Paco pads, and we discussed this.
Whoa! You have to close the valve on a Paco pad. Don't
No,
bring
you
the valve
don't.
into it.
No, you don't
have to.
You don't. No, you don't.
I never
do.
do.
Sleep on it. And this is what we discussed. The Paco pad is extremely convenient. If I want to take a nap at camp, I'm just going to lay down on a Paco pad. I'm just going to throw it in the shade. Steve's out. He's done.
Quit. I can't believe you're saying this.
And Aaron's backtracking. Also, Stevie's backtracking because last week he was all about the
I use a Therm-a-Rest. I use a Therm-a-Rest. I will say I usually use a Therm-a-Rest. However, just because
here's my scientific
doesn't mean it's best for everybody.
Here's my scientific argument, because I've had this a number of times, and I did a trip 2 summers ago, and I put out one of our old 1-inch Paco pads, one of our brand new 3-inch Paco pads, and this previous version of that luxury map Therm-a-Rest, which is a little bit smaller than that one there, side by side. And I had people lie on each one of them. And this is what it went. They went on the 1-inch Paco pad. Not bad. They went on the 3-inch Paco pad. Not bad. When they rolled onto the Therm-a-Rest, they said, "Oh my God." And that was the end of it. It was just that much more. It is that much more comfortable.
Every single person,
every single person.
Steve,
I
we
only needed
know
one
we know
person
your
to say
is not accurate because you never
It
have
was
everyone
so
around you.
convincing. The first person was so
Nothing.
convincing. The rest of the people didn't even bother to run the experiment.
So you convinced one person and that's it.
The first person went and no one else tried.
Their reaction convinced everyone else.
And you've been probably talking about it for days, how that is your pad. And this is the pad you
Game over. It's not even close.
I'll tell you the difference, I think, is that Therm-a-Rest is a big company that they make a living making comfortable pads. That's what they do. They make comfortable sleeping pads. That is what they do. A massive corporation. Hey, how do we make a living? Comfortable sleeping pads. Paco Pad is a raft company, or the Jack's Plastic is a raft company that just takes some foam and covers in raft material. There's no trying hard. It's very simple. There's no rocket science here. They're not trying to make it comfortable. They're just trying to cover some foam and some plastic.
Okay, here's the question. If it's a rocky ground, would you rather have your Therm-a-Rest or would you rather have Paco Pad? Okay, Paco Pad. See, that's the thing. Paco Pad has its uses. And I think Paco Pad, you can have people, you can have,
Aaron,
like I'm going to say this.
We already had this debate.
Your guest, like here's what I'm going to say. You have a guest who's never been out in the wilderness. You have a guest who's never been out there before. They're not going to make sure to get the twigs out from underneath them. They're going to just throw it down, and they can just want to lay down on it and sleep on it. And in that case, the Paco Pad is a way better option.
For throwing a pad on plain dirt and doing nothing, yes. But if you're going to like take a second and move the sticks and then you pump the thing up,
you got to blow it up. You got to, then the next thing, you got to get all the air out, roll it out. You got to get the air out. See, like Zach, while some of us are getting our work done, you're messing with your Paco Pad. You too, Steve. See, these are the types of people. You're the ones who are monkeying around with your little knots, and you probably tie a little piece of string around the special knot that's got like 3 parts to it on each end.
I will wear that crown in exchange for a good night's sleep, because the next day I'm going to be so happy in camp that I'm going to make up for it. And you're going to be the grumpy guy. Oh, my back is sore. Actually, my Paco Pad is just dead. Yeah.
Do you know what I sleep on? I sleep on an uninflated Paco Pad. I mean, uninflated Therm-a-Rest most of the time. That's what I said. I usually just roll it out, uninflated, and sleep on that. That's my go-to.
Okay.
I'm a Vlad. I follow the Vlad theory on.
Vlad's a Therm-a-Rest guy. He's always.
But he used to be nothing pretty much in his younger years.
I mean, that's what that.
Aaron, have you slept on a Therm-a-Rest?
Yes, I sleep on it every night.
No, an inflated Therm-a-Rest.
Yes, I inflated sometimes.
A modern Therm-a-Rest. The problem, Steve, is his was a hand-me-down 20 years ago. You got to be backpackers in the 90s. Get a modern. Spend some money here and get a new Therm-a-Rest.
This is the other thing too. Is when I was in China, they have these amazing mattresses that are like this thick. They're so comfortable. I love it. The sleeping on something soft, I don't like it. I think it's bad for my back. That's
why the Therm-a-Rest is better too. The Therm-a-Rest is definitely stiffer. You pump that thing up and you close the valve. That is a stiff, firm, nice, comfortable.
And I agree with that part. Like
the Paco pads can't compare.
But I'm going to say this. I think there's some problems with it. If you have kids, I think I'd rather have them sleeping on Paco pads, because they're not going to if they put a hole in them, I don't care. And if they're going to be complaining because they got their holes in their Paco, there are other things like an ex of mine, her dad just got her a Thinsulite pad for sleeping on when she was a kid, which I thought was brilliant, because you can't put a hole in it. It's super easy maintenance. You don't have to worry about it. And I think that makes a lot of sense. It's something that you don't have to worry about getting holes in. And I think that's the problem with the Therm-a-Rest. They get holes in them. They fall. They run out of air overnight, and in the morning you're all soft and uncomfortable. And that's the problem. Is the maintenance part of it.
Let's go back to Vlad for a second.
Vlad is you know that the foam inside of a Therm-a-Rest and the foam inside of a Paco pad is basically identical.
Are they identical foams? Are they? You know that?
If anything, the
Therm-a-Rest?
Therm-a-Rest foam. If anything,
I don't think they're the same,
foam,
Steve. I don't
I
think
think the
they're
Therm-a-Rest is way better. I think that Paco
I
Pad.
think
I think the
Therm-a-Rest is
Therm-a-Rest,
way
the Therm-a-Rest is
cheaper.
way lighter. The Therm-a-Rest is way lighter. I think that the
And-
foam is denser on the.
I don't think it's even
No.
foam.
No,
It's not even
No.
foam.
It's not the same material.
the
We don't know what we're
Therm-a-Rest
talking about.
foam. The Therm-a-Rest foam is better to sleep on
Yeah. Hands down.
inch for inch.
Yep.
You can't compare a
No.
3-inch Paco Pad to a 1-inch Therm-a-Rest.
You're not
But
talking about
inch
the
for
foam. You're talking about the inflation of it. Because if it was just the foam, then you wouldn't have to inflate it. But you have to inflate the Paco. The Therm-a-Rest is more about. It's more like a. What are those floors? It's more like a drop stitch floor, really, that you're sleeping on. I think with the Therm-a-Rest, it's more of a drop stitch floor. It's not foam. It's more of a drop.
I don't think
Okay.
there's foam in there.
Okay,
There's minimal foam.
First
I
of
think in
all-
a Therm-a-Rest. Yeah.
Zach is going to kick your ass at the throwback thing, and
Yep.
then I am going to kick your ass at the Therm-a-Rest thing.
Well, cut open a
But
Therm-a-Rest
you
and show me this foam that exists inside the Therm-a-Rest. This theoretical foam.
I have some Therm-a-Rest here. I'm repairing it right now. I'm tempted to go cut one open just to like right here. Just
I
so
think there
frustrating.
is actually foam in it, but I think
Zach,
it's a different design.
Just
Yeah.
to be clear, Zach, your pads are not technically Therm-a-Rests.
Mine are
right?
ten-
They're the-
this one I'm showing you. This is
Is a real
this pad.
Therm-a-Rest?
I mean this exact one. This is what we use.
Yeah, I
I'm
wouldn't
repairing
cut that
4
one
of them
open,
upstairs
but
right now. Yeah, they're expensive.
I think that
I have some old ones that
cushioning
would cut open.
value, that the airless cushioning value of a Paco Pad and a Therm-a-Rest, you can't say that the Paco Pad is more comfortable without air than the Therm-a-Rest. That's just
It's
not
not
No,
true.
it's way more comfortable. It's way
no,
more comfortable.
no.
An open valve Paco Pad is way more comfortable than an open valve Therm-a-Rest.
Steve, I'm really close to kicking him off. Like
how I can kick you off too, Zach, if I could read the
oh
script.
yeah.
Okay,
Hey, hold
let's
on.
go-
I
we-
take it back.
Can we go back to the question, because this is important, and I do want to weigh in on it, and I don't want to be too much of a geek, but the proper way to do it, and this is what has worked for me. When I get to camp, as soon as I can, after I do all of my camp chores and pick up
rush,
Aaron's
no
slack
rush to do
for him.
Yep.
Aaron is in his boat, taking off his shoes
Yep.
and putting his little socks on the oar handles while I'm carrying all the gear up.
This is all true.
into the
This is all
kitchen.
true. But he's
I
like
then-
taking his like hand covers off, his
Oh God.
wet
My hand
paws,
covers, yeah,
and
the hand
all of his
covers, yeah.
clothes, his sun protection, his all of his stuff.
Yeah. While I'm
know
carrying up
Aaron
the gear.
is.
We know that's true, Aaron. Do not deny that one.
He's
Well,
smoozing
I-
with the
I-
guests
that's
while we're
not
doing the
true.
work.
We
That's
get the
not true
kitchen set
because I
up and everyone
keep it
says, hey,
on-
let's take 5 minutes, go set up our campsite. I will go and unroll my Therm-a-Rest and open the valve. Period. All I have to do. Go cook dinner, go do all my little things. When it's time to go to bed, I have to come in. It's usually 7 full breaths into my Therm-a-Rest. Yeah. Wish I didn't have to do it. If it's a really, really hot day, it'll inflate by itself. 7 of them, really firm, close the valve, lie on it, and then open the valve till it leaks a little bit till I get to that, perfect density, close the valve. Next thing I know, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm up in the kitchen waiting for Aaron again.
Wait, so you forgot about something, Steve. Did you not break down your camp before breakfast?
Not before breakfast. No. I always
see,
wait.
Yeah. What
While
a
you're putting
slapper.
on your zinc oxide and
Yeah.
sunscreen, I go up. It does
make
take a little more
breakfast.
time.
I put my
I'm
zinc
not gonna-
oxide and sunscreen
I'm
on
not
while
gonna
I'm
deny it.
floating downstream on the
The
river.
downside
by
to
the
the
way.
Therm-a-Rest is that you have to roll it and deflate it. Probably
Okay,
takes
and okay, we went through your
couple of
whole
minutes.
ordeal. Now I'm going to go
It's
through
an
my
or-
ordeal if I'm using a Therm-a-Rest, which
No,
I don't bring a Therm-a-Rest on. But if I were to use a Therm-a-Rest, this is my deal. I get to camp. Yeah, we unload. I help make dinner. I cook dinner. It's time to go to bed. I drag my the Paco Pad over. I put it down, pull up my sleeping bag, lay down, and go to sleep. In the morning, get up, stuff my sleeping bag away, go walk to the kitchen, carry the Therm-a-Rest back, the Paco Pad back over. I'm done. Way less work.
Except
You
we
could do
do
right.
carry the
And I
Paco Pad
can
on the
sleep
trip.
anywhere. I can sleep. I can wait for that last awful spot
You
that no
don't
one else
though.
wants.
We know you.
I
you
do.
want-
I do.
You
actually.
don't. Oh,
Yes,
man.
I do. I'm always a late camper. Late camper.
Hey,
I believe in late
Um,
camper. You know why I'm a late camper? because then you can decide who you sleep next to. If you go early, someone may decide to sleep next to you.
Oh, I hate
and
that.
I am not.
I hate
yeah,
that.
see, that's why it's going to
Well,
be a late
this might convince me to become a Paco Pad person. If you're going to tell me that it's going to give me more privacy in my camping space, because I can go at the last minute, and there's always more options at the last minute. No, you're right. When someone I have moved my campsite when I thought someone pitched their tent or got a little too close to where I was sleeping. It does bother me. I'm weird about
I remember
that.
I made you uncomfortable one night how close I slept to you. You like rolled over and you're like, you're not sleeping right here. And I'm like, yes, I am.
Yeah,
I would move.
Yes. Yeah.
Would move.
Okay.
I'm going to make 2 points. I want to move on. Make 2 points I want to make. Therm-a-Rest makes sleeping pads. That's what they do. They're good at it.
For a long time, they've been making them.
Shaq's Plastic does not make sleeping pads. They make foam covered things that you take rafting. That's my first point. The second one is that America is getting soft. And like, you don't need to bring yourself a palace on a river trip. Be like Vlad. He'll lay in the dirt without a sleeping bag. Like, we're getting soft. Like, you're camping. Like, even if it's not as comfortable as a Paco pad, just sleep on it.
Oh,
it's less stuff.
It is more comfortable.
What was
even if it isn't? I'm just like,
what was the question? What was the original question?
The question is,
I think I clarified that.
The question is that,
and then bleed it till you like it.
People out there don't believe that we think a Therm-a-Rest is better than a Paco pad. They're saying a Paco pad is more comfortable. They want to know how to inflate it to make it comfortable.
And see, you use Steve's 7 breast thing, and then hope you don't have any little holes in it because they got those little pinprick. You can't see them.
I slept on my Therm-a-Rest last night. It was wonderful. I did that exact same thing. 7 breaths, bled it.
I think we answered this question. We got to finish this show eventually. All right. Cooler size. My partner and I are working on putting together our first multi-day setup. We are trying to decide on the right size cooler, getting a custom frame so we have flexibility with dimensions. We are deciding between the Canyon 103 and the Orca 140. We like the 103 because it's lower profile, it'll be more comfortable for passengers to sit on, but we are worried it would not be enough space for longer trips, like the Grand Canyon. The 140 would sit about 5 inches above the frame without a pad. Most of our boating will be day trips and 3 to 7 multi-day trips. Our frame will be a 3-day and an attachable trailer with a drop hatch. Our raft is an Air 156R. What are your thoughts?
Can I start with one right at the beginning?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say for a day trip, I just get like a Longhorn frame.
Yeah.
And have a couple of thwarts in your boat.
But not everybody's rich like you, Aaron. They can't just
No, they're not. They're not rich like me. But I think it's just like if you're mainly doing that, I would go easier for you. You can just put the cooler on the floor and rig it in your boat too with the Longhorn frame. Even you don't even have to have the whole special.
Do you have a secret NRS sponsorship that we don't know about?
No, you're the one who turned me.
You've been really pushing this NRS stuff pretty hard.
I'm gonna say NRS has been really nice. Like I've talked on the phone a couple times lately, and I've called some other people lately, and they're just nice and they're helpful and they've got knowledgeable people. It's just nice. You call, someone answers. Hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Okay, here's the deal. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, all right, great.
Those are
pretty coolers.
No, I don't. Coolers. Yeah. But I would take sponsorship, Zach. I would take it. I don't.
What I would suggest. I couldn't understand if the rower is going to be sitting on this cooler.
Sounds like not, right?
Or if passengers are going to be sitting on this cooler. I don't really. But if I was getting a custom frame made, I would get one made that would be able to adjust to either of those coolers. And that you weren't locked into one cooler width or dimension for your frame. I think making your frame more flexible, the cooler's going to wear out. You're going to want to get a new one someday. Like, coolers come and go. That frame is going to last you your whole life. And I think you can have your custom frame made where that front bar is adjustable to the width, whatever the front to back width of your cooler. Right?
I think totally.
My plan is to have a really small cooler that I sit on for day trips, but then to be able to expand that bar further apart, drop a bigger cooler in there for longer trips.
For
Why
day
are you
trips, I
bringing-
don't want to bring a cooler. I just want to throw a frame
Why?
on and go rafting. It's like so
Yeah.
much gear to bring, like your
That's exactly the-
raft and your big 4-bay frame and your like cooler. Aaron's right. Get some money like Aaron, get rich like Aaron, and then go buy yourself a longhorn frame in addition to your multi-day frame. Your multi-day frame is a multi-day frame. I think that it's so much
I'm going
stuff.
to disagree.
Okay.
I would just say just use your longhorn frame. Just save a bunch of money and just throw the cooler.
Don't
in
even
front
get
of
the
your
4-bay
longhorn
frame. The 4-bay
Yeah.
frame. So the Canyon. So the problem with I see here is you don't want to be 5 inches above the frame. I'm guessing they're sitting on it. The higher you sit, the harder it's going to be to row properly. Next thing you know, you don't need to tile oar towers. You don't need longer oars. Try to sit as low
But
as you
read the
can.
top. Read that top paragraph. We like the 103 because it is lower file and we're more
Yep.
comfortable for passengers to sit on.
Oh, there we go. But we're worried about it. Neither of them are enough space for Grand Canyon trips. Don't even go there because
Right.
you're
I
just going
agree
to
with
rent
that.
gear. Don't bring your
And
Air
the 15
156.
the 56. Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna need people 18-foot boats to carry stuff unless
No, but if other people
you're
take 18
backpacking.
foot boats, that's fine. But your cooler one's not going to last that long down there. You're not
Yeah.
going to have ice for very many days in it down there.
don't think about the Grand Canyon here. But
So
I
buy
think
the 103.
the cooler that's rad. I mean, somebody made this comment. Like, I have a couple of these coolers are the amazing. Like, this is the best cooler I know of right now.
Ooh, and it's got the drain plug on the middle and the front, not a side one. That's nice.
It has both. If I remember right, it has both.
Oh, what brand
And
is
That's
that?
really
It's
smart.
the
That
Canyon
is really
150
smart. The
Pro.
drain plug right there.
Those handles are so sweet too. Like they're bomber, they're flush, they're not sticking out to hit things on. All those tie down straps everywhere. It's just this cooler is my favorite rafting cooler right now. If you can fit this
Zach,
Pro
how
150, get this.
If you're putting the frame bar under that thing, aren't you 5 inches above the frame?
You are. So the cool thing about this, but I think 5 isn't. You are. I don't think 5
That's
is
the-
that bad.
Well,
depending
if
on
you
the boat.
put the thing is, if you put a
Plus the
pocket pad on
frame.
top of there, then you get too much. Like it depends what you put on top of the pad. If you just have
You're
one of those
right.
thin like covers, like those thin Thinsulate ones, which actually I think Bruce said they do a way better job than the Paco pads. You know,
The
those
pocket
ones
pads
that-
are for comfort because America's getting soft.
yeah,
Like
but
people want to sit on a pocket pad because they can't sit on a seat, on like a
But
hard
here-
seat.
They handle that's a tricky part though. Is the handles? Does that have a locking handle on the front? I can kind of see it's kind of fuzzy.
Yeah, it locks in. It's so nice.
Yeah, but the
Can you
locks
open
are
that when the
annoying
bar
on
is
the
ready
river
once the
because then it
handle?
gets
So
stuck in front of the
I'll
bar.
tell you one more thing about it, and maybe you can't see, but like, do you see this ridge? Oh man, my cursor's on. There's like
Yeah.
right below the handles. There's a ridge. That ridge is
Yeah.
meant to sit on a bar.
Yeah, but the problem is like it's not always the right. If you have a custom frame that's solid, it's not always the right. It'll slip down. They get stuck in front. It's hard to do.
I hear you.
I don't like the handle. I don't like the locks on the coolers that much.
I
Rafting, I find it
You'd rather
frustrating.
Nothing? Sling it.
Just have you have slings underneath it anyways, ideally. But I
On
would have.
Aaron, we run this on our Illinois frames. We don't put slings under it. We put it right on the bar. It sits beautifully on the bar. We have adjustable bars, but it sits
Mhm.
perfectly in the bar in our old Tuolumne frames too. Like it's the right size. Like they know the size. Like Canyon knows the size we all have and made it that size to fit in these frames we've had forever. It sits right on the bars. You throw straps over the top, you're done. You don't need a bottom sling. Now, if your frame's a weird off size, you can bottom sling it. But
then
this
they slide and it slides and pivots.
it
This is
doesn't.
the thing. I think we're good. No, if you got the wider. One thing I think we're going to all agree upon: if you're going to sling it, you don't need those little metal things to go on your slings. We're in agreement.
Wait,
on
are
that.
you against that something NRS makes?
Yes.
How do you get your sponsorship if you are bagging on
The
NRS
metal
products?
slings are just silly.
How dare you?
And I don't understand. I still don't understand the purpose of them. Why do you even?
Zach,
have
you
those?
can open those handles when it's sitting on the bar.
Yeah, no problem.
That's a critical. I've seen that mistake.
Yeah,
Like, make
problem.
sure.
And
That's
the,
good.
but
That's
the big
well
cool is
designed.
having the drain plug in the middle and the front is just
This
huge.
cooler is very well thought out. Like I have a bunch of them. Here's the 103. I mean, same thing. It has the thing in the front. These I can just tell you these little. The things that one's meant to sit on a frame too, but the little attachment things are gonna break. I can just tell by looking at it right now. Like they're not as bombers as the other one. The little rubber things they had to
Yeah, those
put
do
on.
break. Yeah,
like it's
and
that's
they're
gonna
kind,
happen.
of, they're kind of annoying to pop from underneath because the way it sits.
Yeah,
they're-
you got to
they're
get your
pretty-
finger down there. I think this is the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
But it's just a decent cooler if that fits. I think the 5 inches here, yeah, man, it's depends on the boat. If it's a 13-foot boat, it's a lot. If it's a 15.6, I think
But the bigger
okay.
question is how much space you can have between your cooler and the floor then. Because like there's a couple problems that people slide underneath the cooler. You don't want it too low where it's pushing the floor down. You don't want it too high where people can slide underneath it. Your center of gravity is higher, and there's problems on both ends with that aspect of it too. That's why I prefer slinging, because you can just adjust it. It's just so adjustable. You're like, oh, this person's taller. We can set it up higher, put it lower.
This one probably won't fit in the 156R. I think the airs have a little smaller tubes than most boats, most gear boats. The Wing 16 and this cooler are a match made in heaven. Like the 16 is like a pro, right? The Wing 16, like this cooler is meant to fit in a pro or a 16-foot wing. Like anything else, it might struggle with. You might have to get some other thing.
Isn't like an Adventure pretty much the same width as a Pro internal? It's almost the same size, isn't it? They're not that much different.
I think Adventures are narrower.
I don't think very much. I think minimally. What? Steve,
I think it's 4 inches probably.
Is it 4 inches? That much? Okay.
Yeah,
but you can fit this. We have those Wing 14.6 boats. You can fit this cooler in a Wing 14.6. It's just gonna like it pushes on the tubes a little bit. Like it fits perfectly in the 16 with a little bit of space, and you can jam it in the 14.6. And the 14.6 Wing is based on the Adventurer.
That's what I remember. Yeah, that's what I thought. You can fit it in there, but it's tight. Yeah.
I just bought two more of these.
Let's go back to this guy's frame because he's gonna have guests sitting on it. Do you care that much about the 5 inches now and the Paco pad on top of that? You've got guests sitting 7 or 8 inches above the tubes.
I do, because I think that Air 156 has small tubes, and so I think if it was a full size boat, like a real I don't want to say real boat, but like a boat that has big tubes. I'm looking for the 156R right now. Let's check the dimensions. I think the tubes are just like 20 inches, and that might be a problem. Oh, 22-inch tube diameter. So yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, 22-inch will work. I think with 22-inch tubes.
How thick are their floors? Are the floors thicker?
Pretty thick.
They're
pretty thick.
I feel like really
there's no handle on the bow and the stern.
Oh.
That's 15.6. That's the size of that raft. 156. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's how Air does their boats. Yeah. So it's almost like a Pro. Yeah, I didn't realize if this has 22-inch tubes, it would probably fit that one. What's the interior design or the interior with 41-inch interior width? What does center mean? Center. Why?
In the middle of the boat, front to back, before it starts to taper. 14 inches interior.
Oh, got it at the center. Got 41 interior. What? How was the interior depth?
14 inches. So that cooler can't be.
Man, that's really not very deep.
What's the width? This is a 42-inch cooler, so this one's not going to fit.
It's 19.5 inches tall.
You can force it in. Yeah. And he said it was a 14-inch.
That's where he's getting his 5 inches. Because he's putting that thing almost to the floor. And then the 14-inch depth of the cooler would give you 5.5 inches above the top of the tube.
We're getting deep into the cooler situation here. But going back just to the basic setup for this multi-day frame, I think there's an interesting conversation of just making people be comfortable in the front of the boat and what that looks like and what your best options are. You guys are of the mentality to have people sitting on whatever that front table is, front hatch, front box. Is that correct? You guys like sitting on that front thing?
I think the way we do it commercially is correct.
Well, the way you do it commercially is one way, but then like most of the Grand Canyon outfitters, you're sitting in front of that on the tube. And so you're sitting in front of that part and you sit on the tube up front. And
that's not what I saw. I saw an Azure trip.
That's how Azure.
Well, I saw an Azure trip. I saw like
backwards in their 18-foot boats.
Okay, no, some of the Azure guys are now running an extra hatch and setting it up like that, so they're running 3 hatches, which, oh man, that's
this is Aaron. Body. This is also like you trying to throw Cherry Creek at us, like just because it's on Cherry Creek. That's
no. I'm just saying, like there's different ways to set up your load for people to sit, and you can be pretty darn comfortable sitting on the tube in front of the load if you put some bags on top of that cooler and whatnot. I think it's a good option to consider. I really like sitting on that outside tube, and I like when people do it. I think they get more splash. It's more exciting. They've got a little more space. They're not right next to each other in the middle of the boat. They're kind of in the middle. It's definitely a safe place, but it's also like a less adventurous place. And you can hold on with 2 hands. You're much more secure in the boat when you sit on that outside tube with one hand like on top of the load, one hand on the perimeter line, versus when you're sitting, when you're sitting up there that other way, which you're secured one way when you're on the big lounge chair couch in the middle, you can't really hold on that well. It's not as athletic of a positioning. So I'm just saying, like, I think both have their place and there's advantages to both, but you don't assume you have to have your people sitting on the cooler. That's what I'm saying is you can have them sit in front of it on the tube.
Yeah. I'm looking at their
2 people front.
I'm looking at their thing right now. It's a 3-bay frame. So it's like they're sitting, it looks like they're sitting on a dry box, which is fine, I guess. And then a place for them, and then there's a cooler in front of them. I would not set passengers on the cooler right in front of you. If your oars go forward, you're going to hit them.
That's exactly.
So I feel like somebody else made the comment here. You really want a 4-bay. If you're going to bring passengers, I think it's, unless you're just like Aaron Cavanillo out there not letting your oars go, you want to go 4-bay.
No, but there's the other option I just said.
Or sit them on the tubes. Yeah, or sit them
on the tubes.
Go 3-bay and make them sit on the tubes and make them get a.
Because let's be honest, they're your passengers. They should be grateful to be there. Go ahead, Steve.
Can I just suggest something?
Yeah.
Rather than a 4-bay frame, a 2-bay plus 2 single bays is way more practical than a 4-bay frame.
Is that a lot of extra
that
metal?
Much more expense. What's that?
That's a lot.
That much.
Is it because you can move things? You can like move. Like I only want one 3-bay. I want 4-bay. I want 1-bay. I can.
Steve's all excited about this.
What's he going to do on a day trip with a 4-bay frame?
That's what we're saying. Get a Longhorn.
Oh, not all of us are rich like you and Aaron.
Hey, here's what you say. Take Aaron's like Tahoe Community College Guide School and learn how to paddle boat.
Tell me what the downsides of a 2-bay and 2 singles is.
It's just
you have
more rigging every time you like. It's just more stuff.
It's a lot of bars. Because then you got a lot of, and it pushes
2 more bars.
It makes it longer. It makes it a lot
2
longer
more bars.
Because each
same
one,
length.
those 2 extra bars.
No, but like with the 4-bay frame, you just throw it on and you're ready to go. With all these things, you got to throw the one frame on and the other frame on. You got to tie them all together.
You should be happy about it because then you could use all your D rings.
Consider
you need it. You definitely can't do
rather
that
than buy a 3-bay frame. I think you would be better off buying a 2-bay frame with a cooler seat and then a space for your feet, and then just a straight ring with a drop bag and another one with 2 drop bags and decks on top.
Nobody makes that.
You can put them in front,
custom made.
You can put them in back. You can run the Grand Canyon with that. You can do a 2-day trip with only one of your drop frames. So much flexibility in that.
Wait, Zach. What do you mean no one makes that?
No one makes a 2-bay frame and a little thing and a little thing. You can't go to like NRS and buy that.
Pro makes it. Pro will make them for you.
Okay, Pro. There you go.
He said he's making a custom frame. They'll make it for you.
Yeah.
Our frame.
And at NRS, you could totally do it at NRS. But I think
here's what I'm gonna say, because I see a lot of people.
I will say, I'm gonna say this, Steve. I really agree, and I think people don't appreciate how helpful drop bags are, and having a drop bag just to throw all your schnatel in is amazing.
Which is why,
you can have a drop bag on a 4-bay frame.
Yep.
Which is why my day frame, rather than be a Longhorn sitting on that tractor seat, I'm going to sit on a cooler, which on a day trip is going to be just like a drop bag.
Dry bag.
I'm going to put my first aid kit in there. I'm going to put all my crap in there.
I mean, I get it. If you're going to do
place
equal, if you can't afford a Longhorn frame, and
another frame,
I get it. It makes sense. I don't know where you're going to make this. I get it.
Okay, let's back up. I don't know if I'm going to want to go rafting with you, Steve, because you're going to have to bring that.
That's fine.
Do all these loads.
You're not invited anyway.
I'm going. We already decided that's the first part of the show.
Well, that's fine. I guess I'll be halfway down by the time Steve's ready to go, because like you a whole extra
please. No. How many straps?
And then where do you kick from with this frame? Where's your kick?
So the front bar of my 2-bay frame, what I'm calling my day frame, will drop down to a kick bar.
So basically, you're buying a Longhorn and putting an extra bar on it.
Similar to
No,
that, yes.
Aaron, no, you're buying those frames we had. I used to have those, the Echo. They were like a cooler area.
That's what
and
Aaron-
like
when I
farther
talked to
down
Aaron
low.
about
Let's see about this the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were,
I have
yeah.
those.
When I
I
talked
had
to him
those
about
in
this the other
Idaho
day,
still.
he said that. I didn't know he used to have those at Echo, but yes, that's basically what I'm buying.
I use them in Idaho all the time. We use them as like a paddle assist frame. You can put a cooler in, and sometimes we do
There you
put
go.
a,
You can
a
use it
hatch
as
in
a
front of
paddle
it.
assist
So
frame.
we do use it for sure. We put a hatch behind it actually more than we put it in front of it.
There you go.
Yeah,
But if you wanted
it's
to put it
actually
in front
pretty
of you,
versatile.
couldn't you?
It's actually pretty versatile.
Versatile.
Yep.
There we go. Solving more than one problem, just like
But
he needs to
but
do
hey,
right here.
Aaron or Steve, at the same time, Arta's not going to run this system as their go-to system on middle four trips. They want one frame
they
they just
would.
throw on
They-
a rig and go.
No.
Oh, you think
This
they
would have
think
been
they're
a
about to
better-
switch over? Wait, the
Well-
system exists based on the
Wait,
company you ran for 35 years. Why didn't you make that
ours
change
are-
in those 35 years?
Ours right now are because with the frames kept lasting. They're 3 bays plus 1.
That's what we did too. I like that
And I'm
system. A 3-bay frame plus a hatch.
Yep. And that works.
You're saying
just as
2-bay
well.
frame plus 2 hatches.
But you wouldn't buy that if you were also going to do 1-day trips.
I buy a Longhorn.
I
It's
would
so
too.
easy. It's just so simple. It's adjustable. It's
It's
just
so
like,
light.
you throw it on.
Yeah.
It's just
This
I
frame is
honestly
going to be
it's
lighter
worth
than Longhorn.
Well,
No, it's
not
not.
when you include the cooler. You got to take
No,
the
it's
cooler. You got to rig the cooler in.
a Longhorn is just simple and light. It's done. It's like
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Longhorn. And-
Aaron,
and
where am I going to put all my other little knickknacks with my Longhorn frame?
Well, I wouldn't bring all those. What knickknacks are you bringing that you really
Yes,
need?
don't bring knickknacks on
My
day
first
trips.
aid kit,
That's the whole
my
point.
repair kit, my lunch.
I would have them. I would have them
A
all.
little,
I
you
would,
can get all that in a bag this big.
Yeah, I'd have it all
Watershed
in a
bag
dry
that
bag
big.
in a watershed
And I'm
bag.
going to
Yeah,
drop
small
it in my
watershed bag.
cooler and strap my cooler down, and off we go. You'll still be tying it into the side of your boat. See you downstream.
I'm on it.
Aaron.
No, I'm
no,
with
I'll
Aaron
just-
on the side. You're still
Dude.
carrying your cooler down to the boat at this
Yeah.
point by yourself.
Gladly.
I have been launching boats
My
day
Therm-a-Rest
after day
fits
after day.
perfectly inside my cooler.
For
The
your
other-
lunch now.
The other beautiful thing about the Longhorn frame is you can move the oar towers in and stack boats really easy. All these other frames have permanently attached our towers. So if you want to stack rafts,
No,
like
they
the
all don't
Longhorn's
have
great for
permanently.
transportation.
They all don't have
Pretty
permanently
much.
attached door towers. No,
Most
no,
of them
no.
do.
The downriver ones don't. The downriver
It
ones have
depends.
those towers that can go.
Some of them do,
inside
some do, some don't. Yeah.
Some do, some don't. But you can get those towers that fold down.
Yep. Okay.
But anyways, I think,
I'm gonna-
I think there's some interesting points to this. And Steve, I do agree with your
I
philosophy.
need a
about-
downriver
beyond the-
sponsorship
beyond
so
the
I can build
ad-
this frame and revolutionize this whole.
No one's
solve this
revolutionizing
problem for
rafting.
everybody.
Let's
What's
be
that?
honest. No one's revolutionizing
I mean,
rafting at this point.
I think we're on some
Oh,
great
there's
ideas
room.
here. I
There's room.
like what you're going. Somebody should design this. I think it's smart. I'm actually on your side, Steve. I'm not going to use it, but I can see on our class 4 schools, people show up with these 4-bay frames that are really hard to transport. I could see the value of having the flexibility. So I could see for people it has great value. Just to finish answering this person's question about their trips, I just want to get back to that. I think I would go with a 3-bay frame in the hatch. Like have a little hatch, and that way your people can sit farther away from you when you're rowing. I would not have them sit on the tube like Aaron says.
No,
and-
sitting on the tube's great.
I wouldn't do that. And I think the cooler being high isn't that big of a deal. If they're the rower sitting on it, sit on the cooler. Don't sit on a chair on top of the cooler. If the guests are sitting on it, they are a little high, but I think it's okay as long as it's not like the Illinois. Like as long as you're doing
Can
like the
we-
Rogue and stuff, you're good.
Here's the question:
Can
do you
you-
think your cooler's usually heavier or your metal box?
The cooler.
That's what I think too. That's why I think you'd want to sit on your cooler, not the metal box. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
I would
I
want the
would agree
cooler
with that.
towards the center because
Yeah.
that's more like to make the boat pivot. You want the cooler. I'd put for weight. Your in front of you is towards the center because you're usually sitting
No,
back.
I
from
want
center.
yeah, you can, but I'd rather have the weight right underneath me. I'd rather sit on the cooler. I'd rather have the weight right there.
Aaron, can you just reiterate and explain the importance of, if you can, having that space in front of your kick bar not occupied by people? Like when you said, let's
God.
move those people. Can you
Yeah.
just I understand
mean,
why.
we've
Zach
just
just said why.
we've discussed this, but
Okay, good.
maybe we haven't made it clear. But like people's oars in particular, when you let go of your orient, let's go straight. Or you're rowing and you hit them, and you can't, like, you're trying to row and like you actually hit them while you're still trying to row. You can't get your oars out, and it's just a mess. Like, you need some space there. Yeah, definitely.
You definitely
You
need
don't
some
want
space.
too high of a load right up on top of their tube. You do have your people right on the tubes up front. But I definitely think we're all in agreement that having people sit on a 3-bay frame on the front of the 3 bays on top of it, and when your oars are set up in the middle of the 3 bays, it can make your life challenging, and it's not really fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
are we all in agreement on that?
Yeah, for
Staff?
sure.
Yes.
Okay. So I think, like, yeah, try if you want. I will say, having that place up front, people love lounging on that front area where they get the lay back. Having the drop, that flat spot to sit up front is great. If you're like me and you're lazy and you want to bring less stuff, just have the 3-bay and make your people sit on the tube up front and don't really worry about them. They should be grateful that you're bringing them on the river. So, that's
Good
my
attitude,
2 cents.
Aaron. Hey, friends, welcome to this trip. This is the Rogue River. It's Class 3.
Be
Should be grateful that I'm bringing you here.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly. Yeah.
Hey, that was the end of our questions. But I did a recording of a pre-trip departure talk
Oh boy. Okay.
that I put together. I sent to Steve. So do you guys want to hear that? And we'll finish this one up.
Yeah, sounds good.
I have a
Oh,
long.
yeah.
Hey, I haven't been able to see today, so I'm
is
saying
your-
that. Have we
is your
been going through comments at all? Have we discussed people's comments at all?
Yeah, I'm not paying attention to comments today. We're too busy talking.
Oh,
I looked at a
come on.
couple.
I think we need to.
We
people
responded to them. They're having their own conversations in the comments. Wait,
really?
Steve, did you get your stuff ready?
I did, but we can save it because it's
No,
not
if it's
going to be
ready,
quick.
let's do it. We have
Okay.
20. We have 19 minutes, and I got to go.
Oh, that sounds like a rush.
Ish minutes. Oh,
You
I
all
see
that?
it. I see it.
So over here, I can't see you anymore, but are let's see, whatever. These are the topics I came up with.
Multi-day trip. Okay.
The orange ones are safety oriented. The green ones are less safety oriented. Let's go through the orange ones first. Boat order, boat spacing, safety gear, shuttle. These are things we might want to touch on.
Mhm.
First aid gear, emergency communication, personal protective equipment, signals. Are there other things that we want? I can create one, maybe.
Hazards, like river specific hazards, is that on there? Like known hazards. PPE. Is location of the rescue gears, first aid in there? Like where it exists? Oh, safety
That
gear. I
would be
see it.
under that.
Safety gear. Yep. And levels of training. It looks pretty good. I mean, I can tell you where to put these things right now. I think I already have an idea. You ready to move some things around?
Hang on a second.
Hazards, river, like river specific hazards.
I can't edit my boxes that I pasted in here, so
Okay, that's fine.
we're going to do this.
I put hazards on day trip for sure. Do you want to order these or just put them in the thing, like in some kind of order, or just they just go there?
Let's put them in
I think
each person, then maybe we can talk about order later. How's that sound?
I think if we do the multi-day trip first, it'll be easier
Everything
to
else
just
will
move them
follow.
over
Yep.
to the day trips.
Well, I'll start with my favorite one, nudity. Let's do
What's that?
multi-day. Nudity for multi-day.
What?
Like,
That's the highest priority.
well,
Wait,
you know,
wait. What does nudity have to do with it? Like, this is like, check, we got nudity. Good. Okay. Move
no,
on
don't
to the next
get.
thing.
Hey, it's illegal to get nude on river trips. I can tell you that as a fact.
Well, that maybe.
What is our
I don't understand
what's our
what's going on
approach going to
here.
be? What's our approach going to be to nudity?
No nudity.
Like boat order. Boat's basically boat order nudity.
Yeah.
That should be part of
No.
that, like the talk. Okay, when do we get naked? All right.
No, just to be clear, getting naked on public lands is against the law. Just so we all
Is it?
agree. Yeah, it is. It's in the
You
permits.
can't
Actually.
be naked on public lands.
Not
You
anymore.
can't be. Not anymore. Not you can never be naked in public.
Public,
land.
you can't. That's public in public around other people. It's
Oh, okay.
it's a public and decency thing. Okay, I can bust through this really quick. On multi-day, let's go shuttle. I don't care about that on single day as much.
shuttle.
Yeah, that's kind of a multi. Let's just put
Well,
that.
what
on
I think we can do is just put it down here.
Okay.
And then if you
Sanitation.
have time.
Yeah.
We'll
Sanitation.
prioritize it.
Okay. Sanitation on multi-day. Sanitation, groover, trip priorities.
It's not one or the other. They're going to we'll duplicate some and put them on the other side.
I just think, food and water. We can put the multi-day, nudity, multi-day, the rest is all. I'd probably do alcohol, drug use on multi-day. It's important for single day, but it's just not something I'm going to cover. I don't. If on a commercially, I will for sure, but on a private trip, I'm not going to tell people that on a
day trip. These aren't going to be. This is private trip. All of these.
Yeah.
On a day trip, are we going to talk about food and water? Like, did you bring lunch? I thought you brought lunch.
No, I mean, if people didn't bring lunch, that's their problem.
Okay.
Like, it's not. I mean, we're not at put in. I'm not going to do it as a safety talk. Who brought lunch? It's just like, okay, well, we're not going to go back to town and get you lunch. Like, when we get to lunch, we'll eat lunch, and somebody doesn't have a sandwich. Like, okay, you can have one of my sandwiches or whatever. Trip priorities focus. I'll probably put that in multi-day too.
I can't even see them, so this is not really that fun for me.
Yeah, cool. I don't care if you're having fun, Aaron.
Yeah, no, I can't really be that helpful. Wait, so these topics are only for multi-days?
No, these are and then the day trip ones.
So you don't talk about nudity. You only talk about nudity on multi-day trips.
Yes.
Let's do multi-day, and then we'll move them. I'll copy them and move them over.
I don't think we're talking about nudity on day trips.
Oh.
I don't think we're talking about nudity on day trips. Like it.
Right.
I don't think it's not a problem.
Remember the Merced, the bikini beach?
Where but that's not boaters. That's people on shore. Trip leader. So you're not going to talk about trip leader for day trip.
Wait, is this on private trips or commercial trips we're talking about here?
Private.
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay, I'm going to put the rest on day trip. The rest.
No. Wait.
Okay.
We're not going one or the other. We're going to prioritize them.
By order.
Let's just think about multi-day trips right now.
Okay, got it.
And
trip
then
leader.
What's the next most important thing after a trip leader? And I think that that would be the most important thing.
River specific hazards would be next. Rivers, like hazards specific to that river. And then I do boat order, boat spacing. Oh, PPE. I do PPE. And then boat order, boat spacing. And then individual familiarity.
Yep.
And then signals and emergency communication.
How about individual experience?
Sure.
Like
who knows the run?
That's individual familiarity is who knows the run.
Like
individual experience is how long you've been boating, how good are you?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do that at all.
On a multi-day Middle Fork salmon trip, we show up on our 6-boat trip. Aaron's not there. I'm bringing 2 friends.
Aaron, get your finger on the mute button.
I'm bringing 2 friends that you've never met.
Okay.
You're definitely going to talk. You definitely want to know how good they are.
Right? I asked that way ahead. I asked that before I came. That's not on my pre-trip departure talk. That's like I asked that before I even agreed to come.
But it could be over here.
That's a little late to find out about that at that point. Right?
Again, I don't want it on a day trip. I don't want to know. Like I showed up, like
the recording you sent me. It's one of the things you guys talked about. Just so you know. But we'll keep going.
The last one?
I think so.
Okay. And then signals are important. I do signals. And then safety gear and comms and first aid gear is all kind of like it. We got to talk about it probably, but it's not as important as the other stuff. The schedule for the day, super low priority.
Super low priority.
I mean, people want to know, but also like you don't need to, it's not important. It's like it's good if you're a guide. If you're a guide, you gotta say, hey guys, we're gonna stop for lunch at noon. But if I'm private boating, like it's not a to me, it's a low priority. Like no, I can't think of a private trip where
You
somebody
would
was
move
like,
this
hey,
down.
I move it down, yeah.
You would
That's what we're
talk
talking
about-
about. Because it's not like I'm gonna prioritize safety first. And then just like the logistics of the day is pretty low to me.
But scouting is part of that schedule for the day. That's a
Oh, okay.
again.
All right.
I'm just was listening to the recordings you sent me,
Okay. I mean,
and a
I
lot
would
of times we talked about, hey, are we going to scout this rapid or are we not going to scout that rapid?
I would
We're
put
going to
that
stop
under
for lunch. Or are we going to
hazards.
go straight through? Like,
Okay, I would say hazards / scouts. Like I would put scouting under the hazards category. Like, hey, here's important things we need to know. Like when we're gonna have lunch. I think Aaron's leaving. Bye, Aaron.
I'm gonna run. It's starting to make a lot of noise here again, so I'm gonna
Cool.
be even less helpful than I was. But anyway, it's just gonna cause problems. Great show, you guys. Hey, those of you guys tuned in, thanks for tuning in. Next time we'll get to look at comments more because I'll be able to see again.
Yep.
And I'll be able to address those. If you haven't hit that like button, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And you guys, thanks. It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun coming on today.
Later, Aaron.
See you
See you soon.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
which of these you're going to want to move over for a day trip?
Trip leader. I don't care about it. We'll leave trip leader. PPE. Although I'm just assuming people know what they're doing, so I'm probably not going to cover PPE. Hazard scouts, individual familiarity, signals, spacing and order, safety and first aid gear. I don't really ever talk about emergency communication. I probably should. I just assume somebody's taking care of it.
Be nice to know ahead of time.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, I would put all that in one category: safety, first aid, emergency communication, and repair. I put all those in one. Like, who's got stuff to save the day?
Those are all the same. You want to group those together.
I mean,
Try and make it look like they're grouped.
Yeah, to me, that's a big thing. Who has the safety? Who has safety stuff?
What about trip priorities focus on a day trip?
I don't think I put it in there. I want this day trip one to be short, so I actually do it. If it's long, I'm not like it's not going to get done.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's more of a conversation in the car on the way there, or like we talked about it before.
Okay.
But I could see it there. On multi-day trip, this list can be long. On a day trip, this is like a quick, like 3-minute. Let's touch on the priorities. It should be longer if people don't have experience boating. But if people are experienced boaters, what's like the 3-minute sales pitch, like elevator pitch before a trip?
Hazard scouts.
Yep.
Boat order and boat spacing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those are your.
Yep.
Those 4 things. The individual familiarity. Like, hey, have you ever been here before?
That's nice. Yep.
I'm going to go first. Run really tight behind me. We're going to scout XYZ rapid. Those 4 things.
Yep.
Are. Let's see if I can do this. Nope. Are the highest priority.
Yep.
Signals is in between. Like that's how you. And what about this? What about trip leader?
I mean, it's already sort of established. So, I mean, if you go paddling with like 3 or 4 people, what does that look like? Hey guys, I'm the trip leader. Like, how does that, like, it should have been already established. And if it hasn't been, I think there's usually an alpha who takes charge anyway. Like when I went boating the other day with some friends, I was just a trip leader. Like I I think there's an assumption I was a trip leader, whether we talked about it or not.
Okay. I think that the place where, I mean, what I've dealt a lot more with multi-day trips than day trips in my life. So these things, that list feels good to me. This one is where I've seen, where I could see tension arising on a private trip. Like if again, you and I are going on our 6-day Middle Fork of the Salmon trip. You bring your 2 friends, I bring my 2 friends. We all have our boats. And your friends say, yeah, I like to take my life jacket off on the flat water stretches.
And drink beer.
I'm going to get really, like I want to know that before he takes his life jacket off or she takes her life jacket off. And was that me being weird, or do you feel that too?
I mean, if it's on the Rogue and I was on a private trip and people took life jackets off, I'm going to be like, I'm annoyed, but I'm probably not going to be that guy. Be like, hey guys, put your life jacket on. If it's the middle
but
fork,
what if at the beginning of the trip, pre-trip check-in,
I set the,
you say, hey, let's wear life jackets.
Wait, is this on the river? We're all ready to go, or is this a couple days before on an email, Zoom call, or something?
I was thinking we're getting ready to go.
I mean, if I was worried about it, if I was worried, like if it affected my safety, I would say something like, we're on a river where like they're not wearing a PFD affects my safety because they can't rescue me, or I don't know. I understand that you should wear a PFD all the time and it always affects my safety. But if it really worried me, like it affected my safety or my friend's safety or somebody else's safety, I'd probably say something. If it's somebody being a dummy, I'm not sure if I want to be that guy who's like, hey, I don't know. Maybe I should be that guy. I don't know.
I think I want to be that guy before that person is being a dummy. Like that would be my reason to put it here, or sure, in a pre-trip email, but maybe just reiterate it. Like, hey, in my experiences boating, we always wear our life jackets. I think is everybody okay adopting that as our policy? I don't even like when people loosen them up in flat water.
I probably wouldn't go with people who I thought would loosen their PFD. I probably would just say no to that trip if I thought there were people like that on there. I just think I'm not going to go on that trip.
Okay.
And I would rather, and personally for me, like when I'm out boating in the real world or for fun, I really don't want to have to walk up to people and explain to them all the safety violations I see. I'd rather do it on the show where like we're having a conversation. Hopefully that's how we get this information out. I don't want to be the one that goes up and say, hey, I noticed your perimeter line's loose. You should tighten it. Hey, I noticed you don't have rescue kit. You probably should have it. Hey, you should wear your PFD. Why are you drinking a beer? Like it would be a never endless me being a preachy thing. And so I feel like the show is a better way to like share. That goes into pre-trip.
Up here above everything else.
That goes in like, that's just a good, that's in like, it happens before. No, I probably should. I should be better at speaking up. I see so many people doing things I don't think are like boat spacing. I see some boat spacing is just horrendous, and what I feel is irresponsible. I just don't want to. Hey guys, it's Eddie out. Let me tell you everything about boat spacing. But I'm starting to just not boat with those people too. Like I just kind of know who it is and don't go with them.
Okay, then let's wrap this up. Mental angle, but it would be really helpful if in the questions, comments, or through Whitewater Guidebook, people might want to say, oh, you should also talk about this. I seriously spent 15 minutes come up with this list, looked at a few resources, thought about what things I've done on trips, what I've seen on other private trips. So there may be things we're missing. But yeah, that was sort of the gist of trying to get an idea of what those pre-trip check-in talks can look like.
Steve, we're teaching this a lot in our classes right now. And I'm not teaching that section of our courses, somebody else's.
No, you told me you're having people do it.
Yeah. And they're actually, so like, and we're having, as a habit, we're having them do it every day. Like somebody does it every day. We're not checking the content. We're just making it a habit. So we give them a class on what we think the content should be. And then we give what we think a private boat or safety talk should look like. And then we are enforcing that they do it to make it like a daily habit, even if it's short, just like do your quick talk and then we're going to go.
Yeah, it'd be fun to experiment with what the most receptive or how people receive it. Like, is this a question like, hey, what kind of boat order do you think we should have? Which would be different than my experiences as a commercial guide, where it's like, this is the boat order we're going to have. Like one person is deciding that. Whereas on a private trip, it might be like, hey, how do you guys feel about boat spacing? How do you feel about boat order? How do you want to do this? How do you want to do that? There's different styles in the way that gets presented. It'd be interesting to see the students who are listening to it, if you guys come across a good, friendly way to sort of present those topics.
I mean, the people in our classes are buying into it. They're like, yeah, like we agree with all this stuff, and they've bought into it. But I think in the real world, it depends on the river, how difficult it is. It depends on the familiarity with the people you're with. Like, have you done 100 trips with them?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like, it so depends on like so many factors. What exactly is in that talk. But I think making it a habit is something I'm trying to be better at myself.
All right. Good.
Hey, can I play?
Sharing.
Okay, wait, can you share that with me? Can you email that to me, Steve? And maybe I'll post it on. People are asking to see it. I'll try to post it on the Whitewater Guidebook Facebook page, Sean. That's the best I can do. Steve's going to email it to me, and I'm going to put it on the Whitewater Guidebook Facebook page. I'm going to play, Steve, while you do that, I'm going to play my audio that I got ready for my safety talk 2 days ago. Okay, everybody, get ready. This is a picture with audio. Before we launch, Connor, should we do some sort of pre-trip departure talk?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, not it.
Not it. Hey, this is the graduate course, Cody.
Ooh, fuck yeah. Yeah, first time for me, right? So it's height awareness. I feel comfortable rowing, but if you see me getting offline, we'll get on it quick. I'm lead boat and he's second. Are you still last?
I think that's probably the smartest, yeah.
And we're on third. Everyone stays on the boat today?
Fuck you! Wait, say that again.
I missed it too.
Oh, I said everyone stays in a boat today.
That'd be nice.
Right,
Try, yeah.
Yeah. So let's just do that.
We don't know about wood on this run, but there's always some wood out of play, and there's always a chance it's in play because it's always changing. So we'll just be heads up on for wood too.
What's the wind temperature relative to the other rivers we run in the area?
The water temperature?
Yeah. Similar.
The same.
Same.
Ish.
Somewhere around the hood, not as cold as the white salmon. Pretty similar
Yeah.
to white salmon. Similar to the white salmon.
I should have brought the laser today. I'm wearing like thin layers underneath. Because I know it's a little warmish today, so I'm going thin layer.
I may like play around up front or in the back, but like for initiation through the balls to the walls, it'll probably be in the back.
Oh, about a mile before.
Just under a mile. Yeah, I'll give you a heads up when we got an idea out.
Cool. Normal hand signals we've been using, right? Eddy out, point positive. You eddy out, I'm gonna eddy out. I'll give you a hand signal, Asa.
I gotta take a shit.
Yeah. Oh, this boof. I learned this one yesterday from Willie.
Like,
I kind of liked it.
For boof?
Yeah. No, just off the
Off the head?
Because I was doing this and it was like kind of a pain in the ass taking both hands off the
So you just
paddle.
go like that.
Cool.
Well, I forgot my latte, so I'm gonna grab my latte. I'll be right back. But if you guys want to launch, I can catch up. It's pretty chill for the next bit, and there's some surf spots.
Being serious. I don't know.
I just forgot my latte. Give me a break.
I realized I shouldn't keep drinking my mocha.
I think.
Yeah, I was looking at the list as you went through them, and you touched on all the way down to signals. That felt pretty comfortable. To go beyond that would have been like probably weird, huh?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about it because I listened to it now with a different perspective, having done that. I think it helps sometimes if it's a little bit round robin-y. Because I think if you even do a talk and you cover a half of it, then people feel comfortable piping in. You know, like Connor was like, hey, what if let's talk signals? You know, and then it might create discussions. Like if it's just one person pontificating, it gets a little bit like, who's this nerd? But if it's like, hey, let's cover some stuff. And then, oh yeah, by the way, I want to point out that I really don't like it when people do this. And so I feel like making it more inclusive, I think is good. And I started it with who wants to do the talk, 1, 2, 3, not it. To be a little funny, but also so I don't have to like be the one who's like, let me be the nerd up here and include more people. You know, and this is with people I boated before. So this isn't, I knew everybody, I boated everybody before. So that was the kind of talk I would do with like friends.
What was interesting to me listening
Aaron's
to
back.
I see that.
I can hear him. I can't see him.
So good to have you back, Aaron. You don't know how much we missed you.
Yeah.
It was interesting listening to the talk because there was that awkwardness at the beginning where people were like, why are we doing this? Really? We're going to do this. But then as it went on, it felt like people were saying things that were valuable. Like, hey, we should go over signals. Like it felt natural, which was a nice thing. And it's once you get it started, I think it can roll pretty well. And you can remember which things, you know, you brought up the wood and the hazards. The one thing that, you know, the next thing on that list when I was looking at it as you played that audio, emergency communication, safety gear, first aid gear, like that would have been the next question. Like, do you have a throw bag? And it sounded like you were in rafts, not kayaks.
We'd already done that up top.
Okay.
We'd already established boat order before this talk, and we'd already put the gear on the last boat. So we'd already had that discussion before we walked down to the river.
Okay. How long did that talk take, Zach?
That was like 3 minutes.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't that long. Something like that. I can look at my phone. Something like that. It's not that long. It seems like a long time. Like as I'm sitting here, I'm like listening to it on this. I'm like,
yeah, it felt kind of
like
painful. Like felt like it felt like, man, let's just get on the river. That's why I could see myself.
2 minutes and 52 seconds.
Yeah, I have 2:23 is right here on my phone. 2 minutes 23 seconds.
That's what's interesting. It wasn't very long, but it felt long. Like it felt like, whoa, man, I just want to go rafting. So
no, I got my Therm-a-Rest out. I'm sitting on it, listening. It's very comfortable.
I've been making it a habit. Like I keep joking around. Who wants to do a pre-trip safety departure talk? And I've been making it a habit. I'm recording too, so we can talk about them. But even with people I boat with, it's kind of nice, and it's just short. It could be longer.
Do you like doing it every day? Do you like doing that? Or I mean,
I think making a habit. I think I'm about the habit. Because if I went boating with you, Aaron, and we didn't do it, I'd lose the habit. And so now, if I went boating, if you and I went kayaking, I'd be like, hey, let's have a quick safety talk. And you'd be like, nerd. Are you really doing this? I'd be like, yeah.
Glad I'm not moving to Hood River anytime soon. That's good news.
I did one. I recorded for you guys that I haven't shared with you where I asked, hey, let's do a pre-trip departure talk. And somebody laughed at me. Like you can hear the laugh. Like I sent that one to you, Steve. Like it was like, I know. But then it was a good talk.
Yeah. And we're going to eliminate that laughter over time. People are going to get more comfortable with this. Aaron, you're going to become more comfortable with this. You have this pre-trip departure talk in your head yourself before you go. You're doing all of those things and you're looking around and you're doing that exact same thing. We're just verbalizing it and sharing it with everybody else on the trip. That's what we want you to get comfortable with.
I just want to go boating on my days off.
You don't care about safety. You just want to be floating down.
No, I mean, let's just go.
Aaron, come on. Like, you're about to go teach
really
a
need to worry about boat order?
Day.
Can we just go boating? I mean,
no.
I might say, like,
yeah, exactly.
Aaron,
is this what you
guys
said?
That's not what you're going to teach their students. That's not what you're going to teach your students.
I take back what I said about taking Aaron's class before mine.
I think there's a difference. I think it's different when I'm teaching it or if I'm working a commercial trip and stuff like that. But are you going to do you do this kayaking every time you go kayaking, Zach?
I'm going to start. Yeah. I every year I'm like,
are you going to have a defined boat order for?
No, but I'm going to have a talk. Like, let's take 2 minutes. I don't care like what the content is. I care about the habit. I'm gonna look at the crew and be like, okay, obviously we're playboarding to a border, but let's at least like, hey guys, don't forget there's a portage halfway down, and
The eddy on the right is really hard to catch.
yeah. So I'm gonna make it a habit, and even by me talking about one thing that takes 12 seconds, that gives somebody else an opening to add their thing. And I've tried for years to make this a habit, and I could not. Like Dustin and I had a podcast where I told Dustin I was going to do it afterwards. I never did it, but I am now doing it every time. And no matter how nerdy it is, I'm doing it and making the habit, and it's cool. I like it.
And you will too someday, Aaron. It's okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Some
how I
people
feel about
are
it.
slow. Some people aren't early adopters. Some
No,
people
I
come
mean,
along at the end.
I'm very much about communication, but I'm not about communication just to communicate.
A habit. It's a communication for a habit. It's like it can be a minute, Aaron. Like, come on, you can handle a minute.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the minute. I'm concerned about the certain people we know who just start talking forever, and I don't want to encourage those people to have conversations.
Oh, I will shut them down. I'll be like, hey,
Well,
I'm done.
That's more.
That's
That's
easy.
more my concern.
Once that
is
starts,
just
I will
like,
walk to the river and launch.
Okay,
Like-
or
I will.
Zach, you're setting yourself up to be the jerk.
no, you
And
need to
you're
learn how to
setting
manage
yourself
those
up- And you're
situations
setting, and if you
rather
do
than
that,
avoid them.
and then if you do that, then you're setting up the tone. That no, I'm saying is like if you want people to listen in some ways, don't talk. And then when you do talk, they're much more likely to listen. But if you talk all the time, people stop listening. I think there's
I know that
something to be
people
said
talk-
for that.
People like to be heard and valued, and if that talk goes to 8 minutes because somebody has to feel valued because they have to share their
Oh.
sense, I will put up with a little bit of it. If it's too much, I will.
The
just
thing
walk-
is,
I'll walk
right
away.
now, you're in the golden little window of time with it because everyone's awkward with it and just wants to get it. Once everyone gets the opportunity, like, oh, this is a safe place to share. Oh, we could talk for a while.
Aaron, I'm
Then
really
those
worried about-
talking people
Aaron,
are just
I'm
gonna
really
like.
worried
oh,
about your students in your class coming up.
No, because we've had some.
I'm really
we've had-
worried
I'm gonna
about
say
these
this.
students.
I've
I
had
know,
some
I agree.
classes. I've
I
taught with some
agree.
instructors who always add more. And one of the things I really like about teaching with Ben in particular is
Oh
more
yeah.
concise. And we
Remember
see
Ben?
how to add
Steve, he's
more.
the one. Ben's the one where he's with Ben. He talks about all the conversations with Zach and Steve. When Ben's around, he's like, "Oh man, you won't believe what Zach and Steve talked about the other day."
No, no, I'm just saying one of the things I like about it is like there's purpose to the conversation. And I think it's good to have those conversations when there's a reason to have them, then have them. And I do that. It's like, yeah, I think there's a reason to have the conversation.
Aaron,
But if I
that's
don't
cool.
feel like
That's
it, let's
awesome.
go.
Then don't do it. Well, I think, and Steve,
I think
I'm
it's
in
just
this.
like, why
I think
don't
the
we all
average.
sit around and hold hands
Aaron,
too while we're at it?
I mean, that's
we
fine,
can
we
hold
can.
hands,
Aaron,
and
when-
we can talk
sure.
about our favorite spirit
Aaron,
animal, and then
Aaron, when you teach your Lake Tahoe Community College Guide School, you can tell all those people that don't worry about it. You're gonna be fine. But when I teach my classes, and when we do it
that's not
for the
what I'm
average
saying.
boaters out, the average boaters out there should be having talks like this along, and we're not above them. We're not better because we don't have a
I'm
spirit.
not saying to not have those talks. I'm just
Sounds like
saying
it.
it sounds a little forced, and when it's forced, you get into a weird area. And then I just think like you just have them when it's appropriate.
Aaron, I
And
pretty
like-
much disagree with everything you've said today. Start to finish.
How so?
I mean, there's one thing I agree with you on. Are you just trying to annoy me today?
What are you talking about? We agree on most things. We agree on the frames. We agree on the Longhorn.
Okay. Can we agree on
What
the
else
shows
do-
up should end soon?
Well, I had to come
Yes.
back on because I started hearing you guys talk about this thing. I'm like, gosh, don't do this to everyone. You're going to ruin boating. You're going to turn to like the rest of life. We have to sit around and talk about things for hours and share all this information instead of just going and doing stuff.
Ruin
Which is like,
boating with
that's the
safety.
point of being out here. Is like, let's just talk about. I mean, this is what the show is, I guess, too. Is we just talk about our feelings. But yeah. Anyways.
Oh, okay. We got work to do, Zach. We got to move Aaron a
Yeah.
little bit closer to.
And I gotta
Yes.
go. I can't.
That'll
I
be-
can't keep doing this. We gotta put a bow on this show just to keep Aaron from talking. I'm gonna mute him. Oh, he's already muted. I'm gonna do the close of the show just because I can't hear his voice anymore. Thank you everybody for watching, for supporting the show. We appreciate all the members. Thank you all. We have a new member, Sterling, who joined. Thank you, Sterling, for being a member. You help support the show, and we'll be on. I probably won't be on next week because I'm on the river every day next week. But we'll get on after that. I'm back in business. We'll probably be on twice a week again here in April. And I think with that, we'll end the show. Oh, hey, Aaron, I have one more thing to ask you.